Hey.
Hello.
Oh God, not this again.
Heck yeah, we got to go back to it. I think it's honestly, when we hit episode 200, I want us to just go back to doing that period. Like no more video cast. We're going to go back to Mumble 1.3 and we're going to have to do it like the so we start recording at the same time. I think it's really important. Thoughts?
What's funny is there's like probably a sum total of 0 people that get this joke because they'd have to have listened to like really early podcasts and still be listening.
Wow, this joke is for us, Alex. It's called an inside joke. Gosh.
What a yoke.
What a yoke. Okay, everybody, welcome back to The Forecast, a bi-weekly podcast about everything games, film, and news. I'm Aaron Juno.
I'm Alex McCausland.
I'm Caleb Juno.
I'm Chad McCausland.
I'm Jake Flower Kyle.
And I'm Owen Patterline. What's going on, ladies and gentlethems?
You know, I just realized we do this little like order where we kind of like loop through. I must have put everybody's cameras in the right order.
Too.
Wow,
nice job.
That's pretty good. On today's episode number 175, the best movie of the summer so far features callback to multiple video games in the franchise. And the FTC is pushing back against the Microsoft Activision merger acquisition. It's hard to tell what it actually is. Plus, CD Projekt Red has opinions on your opinions of Cyberpunk 2077. BlizzCon announces that it will be streamed free this year. And Tim is getting served up ads to go to work in American Truck Simulator. And of course, we've been playing games. If you'd like to know more about what we do, you can follow us on our social channels, or you can check out our website at wearethehorizon.com. We have a ton of original content for you to browse through, including our multi-arc Starfinder adventure, the Discord and Signal. Additionally, whatever we talk about is in our cast notes, which is pushed out to whatever podcasting app you are using. All right, let's get into it. Off the top, we're going to talk some marketing, ads, things, and stuff with Chadwick.
Listen, this is the only thing that matters, okay?
I'm listening.
Yeah, just
Do
this.
you guys get it?
Yeah.
Oh, Caleb's face said it all. All right, so you guys know Grimace from McDonald's, right?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
You know that
I've heard of him.
This man's is a big old purple nuggy looking guy, right? Well, June 12th was his birthday. So,
He has an actual birthday?
yeah, I guess he has a birthday, June 12th. I just said it, you know? So anyways, with his birthday coming out, they ran a marketing campaign where you go in and get a Grimace meal, a Grimace birthday meal. And it has a Big Mac or nuggets, you can choose, fries, and a medium Grimace birthday shake. This is where it gets interesting. So the marketing campaign is just like Happy Birthday Grimace, all lighthearted, like, you know, it's a cool thing that McDonald's is doing. But then you go to social media, and there are just things that it's just indescribable. The whole thing started with this one guy who, for some reason, decided that I think he saw something from like a Taco Bell ad or something, where a guy like ate a Taco Bell sandwich or taco, and like it was something to do with Spider-Man.
Sandwich.
What's that?
Oh, my gosh.
No, it's derail the whole thing.
But are
Anyways,
video games art?
Games art. Oh my gosh.
So, anyway, back
I think
to Taco
Burger
Bell.
King had this. Burger King, not talk about. Burger King had a Spider-Man like burger, which was like a weird, really red, honestly disgusting looking. Like I would never touch this with 10-foot pole Whopper. And some guy on TikTok ate the burger and decided to act as if he was in the hospital and like dying. And so this gentleman saw this, and he decided that he was going to drink this Grimace shake and collapse to the floor and have Grimace just everywhere, like just the purple shake just everywhere, right? And so then that sparked this whole trend of just everybody one-upping everybody on just madness going on of people drinking the shake and hanging from trees, or like drinking the shake and like covering themselves with the purple just goo, and somebody trying to take it away from them and them being like super infuriated by it. Every single video starts off with like "Happy Birthday, Grimace," and they like kind of take a sip of it. It's incredible on how viral this went. And I can only imagine what the McDonald's marketing team is thinking right now, because this was not the intention when they came out with this drink. The CEO's like, what's happening here?
I mean, it's PR, baby. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
people are buying them.
If you guys are interested and you want to go check out some of those, I mean, you just literally type in, Grimace Shake, and you will find so many videos.
I just watched one where a girl was drinking one of the shakes, and then it just cuts to her laying on the ground in the middle of like a circle of salt with a pentagram in it, and there's candles lit, and she's having a seizure on the floor.
There's ones where it's like a cinematic masterpiece, and there's like that like somber, almost horrific music in the background, and then there's just this guy like slowly walking down the street, and he like gets a Grimace Shake, and he's sitting on a bench all by himself, and he's like, "Happy birthday, Grimace," and he takes a sip, and his head just explodes purple. Like, it's the craziest things.
Good stuff. Are you yourself gonna go get a Grimace Shake?
I mean, I gotta check it out now. I gotta see what the like.
What I really want you to do is go to Burger King, get the Spider-Man burger or Whopper, and then get the Grimace Shake and dip the Whopper in the Grimace Shake and take a bite of it.
Who is that guy? It's Jordan the Stallion actually got a Grimace Shake. And
of course he did.
He
President
didn't,
of the Fast Food Secrets Club.
Right. He didn't do like the Grimace trend where he like, I almost expected him to kind of just to jump on the trend. But what he basically described the shake as like, if you take a bite of fry and then you drink the shake, there's like blueberry notes that come out. But if you drink the shake solo, like you don't eat fries with it at all, it just tastes like vanilla. And he was like, there's people in a lab like doing this like taste testing, like, you should go watch his video. It's kind of interesting. He's so funny.
Yeah, he's great. I love his content.
What is Grimace, by the way?
What
Just
is Grimace?
Just a question. Yeah, what
I
is
don't
he?
understand the question.
Were you in this podcast like what 10
you mean
minutes
like
ago?
I think he means like what creature?
Yeah, like
He's Grimace.
Ronald McDonald's
He's
a
a
clown.
Grimace.
Like, what is Grimace?
Grimace
he's
not. Yeah.
A clown is an occupation.
Grimace describes both his name, well, all of the above. His name, his like what type of creature is, and his occupation. It's Grimace.
His facial expression.
And his facial expression, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so this says from people.com, the lovable spherical shaped character Grimace has always been one of McDonald's recognizable faces, even if fans never knew what he actually is.
He's a purple blob. What is he?
It's Grimace.
It's Grimace. I don't understand how you're missing this.
I don't understand.
If you're still get the shake, you'll understand.
Yeah, you'll understand.
I don't understand.
This is okay. Hold on. This is up until back in 2021. Brian Bates, a manager of McDonald's in Canada, revealed the answer to the Golden Arch's biggest mystery, telling CBC News that Grimace is
an
enormous taste bud.
What?
Mm-hmm.
He's
You know
an
how your
enormous
taste buds are purple?
Like the Hamburglar, he's like a guy that steals hamburgers. That's explainable. Grimace is a purple thing.
Well, there's also the bird. I don't know what the bird's called. Like
It's a bird.
Bird?
There's like that bird chick.
Yeah, the bird chick.
The bird chick?
Oh, the bird chick.
You know what? Now that I see a photo, I understand what you mean.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know who she
It's
is.
a good
though.
thing.
Grimace.
It's a good thing. This is a
Birdie,
visual
the
medium.
early bird.
It is a visual medium.
It's
entirely.
Birdie the early bird. Okay,
Birdie
'cause,
the early
like,
bird. Mhm.
You want to be early bird.
That's when they
your
started
McDonald's
breakfast.
coffee.
She
Yeah,
came
okay,
out.
that makes sense.
Makes sense.
This says, according to Grimace lore, he is the embodiment of a milkshake or a taste bud.
What?
It's one of the
or-
two. Interesting.
Okay.
Either or.
Switching it up. Don't
Neither
know
of
which.
which are purple until the Grimace milkshake came out.
Correct.
As far as I know, they don't use Ronald McDonald anymore because of, I think it was back in like 2016 when like the clown murders were happening. They like slowly just
Well, I mean,
went away from using that.
John Wayne Gacy was in what, like the 80s? Like clown murders have been around, my guys.
Grimace was first
Yeah.
introduced in 1972 as Evil Grimace.
Does that mean there's a good Grimace also?
I don't know.
I think he's been rehabilitated. I think this is good Grimace.
He's better now.
This is good Grimace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got better.
He had therapy.
Large
Just
purple
recovered.
creature of indeterminate species.
Love it. Yes.
I don't understand. Okay,
Oh man.
we can move on.
I want to jump into a few things news. First, an update. Last fortnight,
Jesus Christ.
podcast, however you want to say it.
One
we talked-
podcast ago.
One podcast ago, we talked a little bit about Reddit's API changes and how they're going to be charging a lot, and that's why a lot of third-party apps are just basically shutting down. I've been listening and reading a lot about the reasoning behind this and some of the frustrations I think that are happening sort of on the mods and the community end. Of note, yesterday, Minecraft officially posted that they will no longer be using Reddit to post updates because they just don't feel like it's a usable platform anymore. And, considering that it's one of the most played games in the world, that's a pretty big hit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
On top
When you
of that-
say Minecraft isn't going to do it, what does that...
It means they used it as the platform to post the official updates for the game.
Okay.
They did not use their own blog or resource space to actually post that. They posted it on Reddit for users to read.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they are backing out of that now. Another thing that's been of note lately is, of course, Reddit's app on the App Store and the Play Store is being review bombed, obviously, but it also kind of sucks. One star everywhere. One of the main concerns with this is there's a lot of accessibility issues with that app compared to other third-party applications. There was a recent interview with the mods who run R Blind, which is actually for blind people to access and utilize Reddit. And Reddit's app is just completely inaccessible when compared to some of the other APIs they were using for third-party applications in order to allow them better access to read and understand things on Reddit. So,
Interesting.
Lots of pushback on that. The interesting thing that I was reading about the reasoning behind the API changes, though, the costing changes. Apparently, there's a whole bunch of companies right now that host basically free content online. And with the rise of chat-based artificial intelligence, they are using those services as basically giant web crawling databases for them to learn from. So if you think about how much content's on Reddit and how much it's actually educational or useful content that you would, Alex all the time has a problem with something. He goes to Reddit, he finds the issue, figures it out, resolves it. They're using that as a tool to teach these text-based AI intelligences, these text-based conversational engines, how to respond to humans. And it's free to them because the API is open. So if you read from Reddit's CEO, one of the things he talks about, and there's a couple other CEOs who are talking about this as well from other online repositories, their whole thing is look, it'd be great if everybody continued to use this free resource, but the real issue is we are basically we're a free resource to these companies who are making millions and millions of dollars off of content by recreating it through artificial intelligence and then serving it up to people who are then paying for a service like ChatGPT Plus or alternative paid for services like that, and they're making money off the content that Reddit hosts for free. So that's the biggest issue I think when it comes to the API. I don't know if you guys had read anything about that or
I saw a lot of people saying they should have done something with the terms of service to be able to charge the people that are building AI stuff off of the data a different price from the people that are using Reddit regularly or the third-party apps.
Right. You would have to think that that's probably not difficult to segment those audiences, those categories. Be able to say, all right, here's one that's just straight pulling API for this content for ChatGPT or some similar, and here's just all these third-party apps that are using the API in order to allow users to access the content. It seems like it'd probably be good, fairly easy to segment that. Maybe I'm wrong. Thoughts?
I don't know. Somebody just gets whatever the license they need to use the API for a third-party app, and then they just also use it for creating an AI.
Maybe
bot.
so.
I mean, I feel like it'd be easy to get around.
It just feels like you would put that in there, not necessarily because, on our system, they're going to do a good job. But that means that now, if ChatGPT makes $1 billion, I sue them for $500 million.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, you just open yourself up. Right? It's like, why not just pay for it? Otherwise, right, you could get sued and lose a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think this kind of all leads into, there's been a lot of talk recently just about how we're going to manage and litigate and deal with the rise of various types of artificial intelligence systems online, because right now it's just kind of a free-for-all. I know that Sam Altman has been in front of Congress talking about, all right, here's what we need to do in terms of putting these barriers in place, or making sure that these things don't progress too quickly, or having these safety measures in place. But right now we're just so far behind, and it's moving at such a fast pace that we're just not going to catch up anytime soon. Kind of scary. That leads me into, I did want to talk one other thing. I don't know if you guys have been following, I know we've talked about this a few times, but the Microsoft Activision, I'm going to call it a merger because it feels like more of a merger than it feels like an acquisition. But that was struck down by the European courts in the EU. And then it came to the U.S., and of course they appealed it. And now in the U.S., the FTC is basically appealing to stop this merger. Interestingly,
didn't the UK approve it?
They eventually did after the appeal. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. UK is outside of EU, so I don't know if how that affects it.
On the state side, the FTC has a young new. She's like 32 years old, and she's head of the FTC, and she's like, her whole thing is like, I want to break up monopolies. I want to break up, big businesses that hold a giant chunk of whatever that asset is,
like
and prevents people from being competitive.
Supposed to do.
Right. Apparently, like,
Yeah.
I don't remember. They were talking about it maybe like 70s or 80s. Back in the day, they basically loosened some of those so that we could get to a point at which we were lowering prices across the board for American citizens. So if you think about it, like when everybody was making things, obviously, and there wasn't like this sort of online economy, everybody's making their things at their own rates and they can charge whatever they want. The moment we have a broader online economy, now all of a sudden we can kind of sort of group all these categories. That's why Walmart started, right? Like not online, but Walmart started doing it sort of multi-state so they could lower prices across the board. And so the FTC loosened some of those restrictions so that they could sell things at, they could have a bigger business to sell things at a lower rate. But now the issue is, of course, we no longer, like the lady who's in charge of the FTC, Lena Khan, she's like, her whole thing is price is no longer the point at which we can determine whether or not something is monopolistic or something is preventing competition in a marketplace, because people just buy things anyways. Like it's not really hurting an American's pocketbook based on those price negotiations. And if you think about it, Amazon, who's the largest retailer online, most of the time their prices are lower than everybody else's, but it's because the volume is so large they can afford to do that.
Yeah.
And so as a part of that, she's kind of sort of taken this rule, this law about how these monopolies work, and she's like, all right, we need to think about this from a different perspective, like not monetary issues, but monopolistic issues, meaning that there is no ability for competition because these companies are so big, and that's why she's suing to stop this Microsoft Activision merger. So we're on day 4. I don't know if you guys have watched any of the footage, but it's quite unique. They have had multiple people on from like Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, just talking about various aspects of the different platforms and how this merger could affect positively or negatively their share of those type of assets in the US. It's interesting, guys. It's very unique.
I haven't seen a lot of footage, but I've seen a bunch of quotes. Like Phil Spencer saying the console wars are a social construct. That's hilarious. It's a good quote.
That is good.
I saw a bunch of stuff like we got news on Elder Scrolls 6 isn't going to be out for another 5+ years. The only reason why Microsoft wanted to buy Bethesda in the first place is because they heard a rumor that Sony was trying to get Starfield as an exclusive. So in order to prevent that, they just bought the whole company.
Of course.
And that's one way to do it, I guess.
That's pretty absurd.
So one of the facts I learned while I was listening to a podcast about it was that Call of Duty franchise is larger than the Marvel Cinematic Universe in terms of revenue.
What? Really?
Yes. Call of Duty. Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
Which is
insane.
quite insane. Mm-hmm.
They've got Phil Spencer on the record saying like Call of Duty will continue to come to PlayStation. So they're trying to pin that down as like the one thing that will still be multi-platform from the company.
Yeah, I think that's one of the major concerns, right? Is that they buy a company like this and then they specifically say this is going to be an Xbox exclusive for one of the largest game releases every year. I think one of the early conversations they had with them, Xbox was like, or Microsoft was like, look, hey, if you want us to sign exclusive deals saying that we'll send these out on all platforms, we'll do it. We've reached out to Nintendo. Sony hasn't contacted us back, but we'll do it. I'm sure nothing came of that, but
yeah, I think the idea is like, he's like, yeah, we'll put it out on PlayStation, but like not for free. Like, but also like the market share for PlayStation, I feel like they'd be missing out on a big portion of sales if they don't put it out there for that one specifically. So they kind of want to anyway.
Yeah.
He is also on the record saying that they are third place in the console wars that are a social construct. Yeah, behind Sony and Nintendo.
I mean, that checks out.
But ahead of the Ouya. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's part of the argument for like, we could totally buy this company. Like, we're in third place already. Like, just let us do it. It won't put us in first place.
It'll be interesting to see what comes of this, because I think this result is going to directly reflect how she's probably going to approach other mega big tech companies, Amazon, Meta, Google. I think all of those are kind of on the chopping block to one extent or another, to kind of sort of spread out competition instead of letting them just gobble up all these companies. It started with, I don't know if you guys remember, but Facebook was trying to buy a VR company, and the FTC sued them to stop it. Even though they obviously already make a VR headset, they were trying to buy another VR company to keep them off the market. The FTC sued them, but the lawyers for Facebook or for Meta were able to win that, and they bought out the company, and now that company doesn't exist anymore. So
cool.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Don't worry, we have Valve. Nobody can buy Valve.
Okay, let's talk about Nintendo Direct.
Oh,
Nintendo.
Yes, there was a Nintendo Direct. I feel like there wasn't a ton super exciting. The big ones that I can think of were they're remaking Super Mario RPG, which was an N64 game that I never played. But they're remaking it, which is exciting. And they're making a new 2D Mario game called Super Mario Wonder, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like Mario on acid.
Yeah, no, it actually looks really cool. I feel like they haven't made like a true blue 2D Mario game in a long, long time, so...
It does kind of look like those, the ones that came out.
The new
the
Super
Wii.
Mario Bros. Wii U.
Those games.
Yeah.
I think they showed multiplayer, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it's kind of like that
it's
style,
got the
but
same, yeah.
The same bubble mechanic and kind of stuff for multiplayer.
I'm sure that's in there. But you can be an elephant, so...
You can be an elephant, so you know it's going to be good.
Solid.
They didn't say anything about Metroid Prime.
Of course not. They showed a
Perfect
little
for-
bit of Pikmin 4. There's a Game Boy SP in Pikmin 4. That's pretty much it. They really didn't show much of Pikmin 4. You can go outside at night. That was the big thing. And I was like, wow.
Oh, wow.
Pikmin really has stagnated, huh? They
Is there
really
still-
have no fucking
Is that,
idea.
I don't know what Pikmin is, really. Never played any Pikmin games.
So it's like, I mean, I haven't either, but it's a game, you pick your little Pikmins, you go out, you do like little adventures, but you got to make sure you get back to the ship before night. And this one, they're like, yeah, now you can go out at night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that'll be
Is that
good.
when the monsters come out? Like,
There's already monsters during the day. I guess there's
okay.
more at night. I don't know. But now there's like glow in the dark Pikmin. I don't know, man. I don't understand it.
kind of like dying. The nightmares come out when the sun goes down.
Yeah, I don't... Like, what's the... I mean, it just sounds like none of us have played, but, like, what's the difference between Pikmin 1, Pikmin 2, and Pikmin 3? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like they're all the same fucking
A
game.
number.
Different engines, maybe?
I mean, I guess they look slightly different.
They're-
You're right.
They're popular games.
People like them, but people like Splatoon too.
Did you get any
I don't-
Phone Stars footage on this one? Or that's a joke because it's not a Nintendo game.
It's a good joke, Alex.
Yeah,
This
very
is a
good.
good one.
Very good.
So that was pretty much it, huh? So it was like light.
Yeah, I
It's
feel
really
I
light.
don't have a lot. There's a new WarioWare coming. That's kind of exciting.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not 8 anymore, so I don't know how much I care about that. But it's cool that WarioWare's coming back. That franchise kind of slept for a while, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, not a whole lot. They're bringing back some old JRPG that I literally can't remember the name of it.
I'm sure it's something bizarre.
Star. It's got the word star in it. I'll Google it.
Okay, you Google it.
The Batman trilogy is coming to Switch, dude. How could you forget?
Oh yeah,
You're right.
true.
Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight. I don't know how Arkham Knight's gonna run on Switch, but
I can't imagine well.
yeah, probably not well. The game it's Star Ocean: The Second Story R. I don't know how I forgot that. It's such a good name with so many different letters in it.
Solid name. Speaking of like Switch and things that are being ported to it, do you guys, now that we have Steam Decks, do you guys play your Switch ever?
No.
Yeah, so there's this little indie game that came out called Zelda.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of it,
Nintendo
but it's a
exclusive.
Switch exclusive.
Or Switch exclusives. Outside
So,
of
like-
that, though, do you play anything that is not an exclusive on your Switch?
Anything not
exclusive.
exclusive? No way.
Yeah, right?
I haven't
Okay.
in a long time.
The Switch is only for exclusives now for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird. I went from, because I bought like Binding of Isaac and Hollow Knight on
Mhm.
Switch. I played
Mhm.
it, and now I'm like, well, I don't have those. I don't have those achievements. Now I gotta buy them on Steam Deck so I can play them on Steam Deck.
Wow.
I mean, the good thing with the Steam Deck is a lot of those games I bought on the Switch to play on the go, I already had them on Steam,
Yeah.
so I can just play them on the go.
The
Yep.
Switch was the second buy. Got it.
Exactly.
Last but not least, in the news section, CD Projekt Red has opinions about your opinions, Chad.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if you guys have heard, but there was an interview with CDPR devs or CEO or whoever it was, and he comes out in the interview. He says, "I actually believe on launch it was way better than it was received, and even the first reviews were positive. Then it became a cool thing not to like it. We went from hero to zero really fast. That was a tough moment. We didn't know what was happening. We knew that the game was great. And yes, we can improve. Yes, we need time to do so. And we need to rebuild some stuff. It took a lot of time, but I don't believe we were ever broken." It's interesting because I think I saw this at first on Reddit. And reading through the comment section, there's a lot of people like me who I honestly didn't really see any bugs with my playthrough. But I know a lot of people who had really bad optimization. So, like, well, first of all, my frame rate wasn't the best. Okay, so like, I will be upfront about that. It wasn't the best, but for some reason, it was better than a lot of people in this podcast when I was playing it. Like, I think Caleb, you had like 30 frames at one point, right?
If we were in the city, it would dip to like 10, 15.
Yeah,
I mean,
I didn't
It
have
wasn't.
those issues, but this was the first time that Sony, who usually doesn't allow refunds, they just gave out refunds because it was 8 days after the Cyberpunk 2077 came out, and like it was horrible. So like, I think to me, like, sure, it did become a cool thing to hate it, but at the same time, like, they kind of did it to themselves. I mean, it was bad. It was a bad release.
it was a very bad release.
Going back now and playing it, I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, the optimization feels kind of good. Like, the frame rates in towns feel good. I mean, they've added a bunch of stuff. There's some like edge runner kind of like Easter egg stuff in there. But man, I don't know if I would have come out and said this.
I think the big thing is that, like, they released it on, like, PS3, right? And it just, like, didn't work. Like, it just didn't run on PS3, guys. Like, you can't charge people money for that.
Yet knowingly releasing something for exact hardware you know how it's going to run on, and it doesn't
Yeah, and
work,
then-
that's just...
Yeah,
That's pretty
right?
messed up.
Like,
I mean, in comparison, I mean, we just had today announced Larian Studios was like, hey, we're going to release Baldur's Gate 3, but we don't know when we're going to release it on Xbox because we can't get the co-op thing to work. They didn't just say, fuck it, we're releasing it on Xbox and whatever bugs are there, right? Like, they were like, we're going to not do this because if someone buys it on Xbox, it is not a functional game.
Right.
Yeah, I had a buddy that actually bought it on, I think it was PS4, and
Oh, PS4. Yeah, obviously it wasn't 3. Sorry.
You're good. He basically said that every time he tried to pick up and play it, he'd get a headache because it felt like a couple frames would go by and then it would like stutter stop and then like fast forward, then stutter stop again, then fast forward, and like it was just unplayable for him. While I'm over here like 150 hours deep beating the game, and I'm like, I really did not experience like a lot of bugs in that game. It was crazy. Now, mind you, also there was a lot of things that I did look at in the game that people complained about, like how the police reacted to you and how you could like run away and then they would just like spawn onto a balcony that you're on and stuff like that. That was like a weird. It should have, probably taken a little more time to develop. But I there's two different things that happened in my opinion. Is one, they just released it too early. Two, the gamers just were not patient. Like to me, it still goes back to we as the gaming community just kind of were. I mean, there was death threats. There was all sorts of things happening to CDPR. The upper devs were probably like, all right, we need to release this because they're going to get mad if, we hold this back one more time. And so, I mean, we kind of box them into a corner as well as, the suits box them into a corner. So then, of course, this dev comes out and basically says that. And to me, if you actually read through his interview, it doesn't come out as, I think he does think that it was a bad launch, but like if we look at like my biggest example that I like to go to when this type of thing happens is Nickelback. When Nickelback first came out, everybody loved Nickelback, but then there was like one person that was like, "Hey, oh, Nickelback sucks," and everyone's like, "You know what? You right." And then boom, Nickelback sucks now.
Dude, ahead of their time. That's what they were.
Nickelback.
Yeah,
dude.
they good now, are they?
Oh, they're solid. Ahead of their time.
You listen to a new album?
No.
They have a new album?
Yes.
They exist.
They still exist.
One correction and one thing I wanted to mention about the what I was talking about earlier, Call of Duty specifically. The Microsoft Activision block, the EU approved it, not the UK. The UK is still blocking it. I said the inverse.
No.
Just for clarification.
Wow, already a correction. We've been on for like an hour.
I know.
Already correction.
Yeah, our analysts in the back room really working overtime.
They're working overtime. I did want to bring this back up because I mentioned the thing about Call of Duty making more revenue. So Call of Duty has made an estimated $31 billion since their inception in 2003, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe has made box office $28.7 billion since 2008.
God.
Yeah. It is only surpassed by actually a few things. The Wizarding World makes sense.
Oh, sure.
Pokemon.
Well, yeah, Pokemon. Disney Princess, which includes basically all the Disney Princess films. Winnie the Pooh, Star Wars, and Mickey Mouse and Friends.
Winnie the Pooh? Hold on.
Winnie the
Back
Pooh.
up.
Yep.
Yeah, what?
Retail sales for Winnie the Pooh is $48.15 billion.
Oh.
I mean, I just think about the fact that
Is that just Disney properties?
I think Winnie the Pooh's just like a slam dunk of like, hey, I need to get something for a niece or nephew who's, brand fucking new and only a couple weeks old. Oh yeah, Winnie the Pooh. Like, I feel like that's just kind of that market of things of like Winnie the Pooh branded blank.
I mean, I guess it's just like, has anything new other than that stupid, cringy Winnie the Pooh horror movie? Like, has there been any new Winnie content?
Winnie
I
Tent?
feel like, yeah, Winnie Tent. Thank you. That's what
Yeah.
the fans call it.
Yeah, it is.
Supposedly with a quick Google search, this kind of makes sense on why it's so much money. October 14th, 1926 is when Winnie the Pooh was first created.
Yeah, 1924 is what this one says
Oh, okay.
for
So
the
it's,
book. It's been around for a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, the big number here is, like, think about it in this perspective. Box office, they've made $214 million. DVD and Blu-ray, they've made $40 million. Retail sales, they've made $48 billion.
Jesus.
So,
All right.
Pokemon still sits at the top, $76.4 billion.
Man.
Highest
Anyway.
grossing media franchise of all time.
Crazy. Okay, so let's talk a few things in video game world. First and foremost, Blade Runner, new video game. Alex, tell me it's going to be good and not like the remake of the last one.
We don't really know anything about it, but it's the first Blade Runner video game in like 25 years. Blade Runner 2033, Labyrinth.
Heck yeah.
Being published by Annapurna. Interestingly, it's the first internally developed game at Annapurna Interactive.
Internally developed game, huh?
Yeah.
Really?
They're making it themselves. They're not just publishing it.
Yeah, they have just been a publisher before, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is interesting. And it's going to be...
Sorry, what is it?
Interesting.
I was
I
trying to
see.
find the part of this article that I wanted to say, so I was like filling.
I thought you were going
Yeah.
to say this
Stalling.
where you should stress the word, but
Incredible.
Game director Chelsea Hash, who works on things like Solar Ash and What Remains of Edith Finch. So people are thinking maybe it's going to be something in like the Edith Finch vein instead of like a point and click.
Ah,
It'll
it'll
be
be
like a
an-
walking simulator.
And Edith Finch 'em up.
Yeah.
An Edith
A
Finch 'em up.
Finch-like game.
Do you think they're going to go like
Finch,
super into
like-
the walking sim? Like we're going to get like a Strand-like game?
Maybe. I don't know. To be a strand type, it has to be like you have to like
You have to
deliver
deliver
things.
Wow.
Yeah.
I honestly
You have to-
didn't even know that delivering things was really like a main.
You
I,
have to-
I understand that it like conceptually that's what makes you go from point A to point B, but really like the transaction at point A and then the transaction at point B are like so short, right?
Well, you have to connect the society by delivering things from one part of society to another.
The advanced society that you have to walk everywhere with boxes. Yeah, okay, sorry. This is yep.
Yeah.
Rabbit
Well, you
trail.
also got there's literally only one Strand type game, so our view of what it is like very narrow.
I'm just really hoping they make more, guys.
They announced 2, baby.
Excellent. Good.
So
Wonderful.
we don't date or like what it's going to play like exactly, but it's just what we're guesstimating.
Is this going to be like a Cyberpunk announcement and then like 8, 9, 10 years later, however long it was, we're going to get the actual game?
That was like 13 years or something.
Was it 13?
I imagine this will be out within like a year or two.
Okay. All right.
If I
I'll
had
be
to guess.
excited. Well, join us back on the next podcast. That's the next time we'll podcast. It'll be after we've played Blade Runner 2033 Labyrinth. It'll be a good time. Episode 176. Guild Wars 2. Chad, what's going on in Guild Wars?
Yeah, buckle up because I got some things to talk about.
Oh, jeez.
So New Fractal was just released, and if you guys know anything about fractals, they are kind of like endless dungeons that you just keep queuing into in order to just, get some fractal relics, fractals, just different currencies to where you can, pay
Grind.
for
It's
different...
the end
yeah,
game
it's-
content that you
Right.
live for, my
It's
guy.
the end game content. But the thing is there is 100 levels of fractals, but there are duplicates throughout. So like you go through 1 through 25, that's tier 1. 26 to 50 is tier 2, and then 51, yada, so on and so forth. It goes up to tier 4. And so you only have, though, 21 different fractals. Therefore, there are duplicates all throughout. And it has taken them from September 15th, 2020 till June 27th, 2023 to release another map into the fractals. So
One map?
One map. Just a single one. And they're all very short, too. Like, I mean, if you get a group that actually knows what they're doing and they go through these fractals, it could take up to 15 minutes, maybe even 10. Like, it's not like a dungeon in WoW or a dungeon in, other MMOs where it's going to take a little bit longer to go through. There's raids and stuff like that take a lot longer. But anyway, Silent Seraph Fractal came out. It kind of revisits the past, which is in Guild Wars 1. There's the Jade Sea and stuff like that. So we're able to see the Luxon sailors and their history, and then there's a demon guy that looked familiar. And then once the name came out, Alex and I were like, "Whoa, okay, yeah, that's Knax. That's that guy. You get his axe if you kill him in the deep.
Knax's
I
axe.
recognize that dude from the other game that I played.
So
It's one of those moments.
there's a couple more mechanics in this one that other fractals don't have. Like you go into, I don't know, the Chaos Fractal, you just kill a bunch of stuff and leave. There's not really a lot. Like most of these don't have a lot of mechanics that you have to follow. But Sunqua, which is the one that was released September 15, 2020, actually does have a ton of mechanics that you have to fight around on the end boss. And the Silent Seraph Fractal, the one that we just got released, in the last boss, there was a couple things that we actually had to figure out in order to take him down rather than just tank and spank. This is pretty cool. Things like there's an eyeball that pops above his head, and once the eyeball pops above his head, you actually have to turn away from him, like turn your character to where you're not facing him or his illusions that are around the circle of the map that you're fighting on, because you're just in this arena where you're like hovered over this darkness and it's just a circle and you can fall off. So if you get feared in the right location, you fall off the map and you take damage and you teleport back on. But if that was like you already got hit a couple times, that could spell death. Also, if you do this on tier 25, it's pretty easy, but then it goes to 50, 75, and 100. We have not tried 50, 75, or 100 because there's a certain amount of resistance that you need that some people did not have at the time. Some people that don't play the game, Alex and Caitlin. So anyways, that came out, and that was pretty much with an announcement that Guild Wars 2 is getting an expansion 8/22/2023. So this is a new expansion coming out. It is called Secrets of the Obscure. This is the first expansion after the Dragon Saga has concluded. So after the decade-long story that they were telling, this is finally coming out and going in a different direction than oh my gosh, dragons. So there's a lot
which
of
expansion did the dragon story end in?
End of Dragons.
Oh yeah,
Well, that checks out. Checks out. Was that a setup for a joke, or did you like genuinely not know?
no,
It was a setup for a
Okay, all right.
The expansion's called End of Dragons. They announced it. We were like, wonder what's going to happen in that one.
Hard to say.
So, Secrets of the Obscure is the fourth expansion, and the adventure continues. 3 major story and content release to follow. So basically, they announced a while ago that they were going to do this system where they're constantly releasing living worlds and also expansions quarterly instead of doing like a couple years development and then wham, huge expansion pack. So this is kind of their first release of that, where they're going to have 3 different releases of this expansion, and it's going to be in kind of chunks, it seems.
Got to get that games as a service treadmill going.
Yeah. So
do you pay for each section individually?
You do.
Okay.
It does seem a little cheaper if you go on to the low end. It is $25 instead of I think low end usually was $60 when we would buy these expansions. I forget what the other prices are. I'm trying to look for it now.
I think it's like 50 and 75
Something like that, which is still cheaper than what it usually
for like
was.
deluxe and ultimate editions where you get extra stuff.
I think every expansion was like $100 on the high end, and it's like 60 on the low, or 50 or somewhere around there. Honestly, from coming from WoW and Dalaran, and there's like a floating city in WoW. We're going to a floating city in Guild Wars, and it honestly it looks the exact same. It's hilarious. Then there's also rifts that we're going to be closing. So I guess around the maps, you're going to be able to use new masteries to find rifts, kill things that are coming out of them, and then close them. You get currency, it seems, for doing that. So it's just another thing for the end game. There's going to be 2 new strike missions. And what strike missions are, they are 10-man missions that you form parties and go into one boss kind of quick, quote-unquote, raids. Raids usually have like multiple sections to them. This is just like you enter a room, there's a boss, there's different mechanics. You got to learn the mechanics, you spank the boss, and then you get out of there and you go on to the next strike. So there are 2 new strikes coming. I think one is coming sooner than the expansion. No, it says both new strikes will be available at launch. So there we go. We corrected ourselves. Fractal Dungeons is where one just came now, and there will be one upon release. And then Skyscale is the end game mount, your dragon that you can fly around with. It takes...
You say end game mount?
Oh yeah, like this
Just
is your, there are other mounts that you get at end game that take like maybe like you could bang it out in a week.
Wait.
Skyscale is time gated as crap, and it took me maybe like a month to actually get mine. So there's like different steps that you get to, and it's like, all right, you gotta wait a day before this, or all right, you gotta wait a week before you do this. And so
time gating is the worst mechanic in any game.
Oh, yeah,
I hate
100%. Well, how do you feel about Lost Ark time gating? Where it's like,
I don't like any time gating.
but it's like you do 2 chaos dungeons, and then it's like, you gotta do 2 more tomorrow.
It's terrible.
You don't like that? You'd rather just sit there doing chaos dungeon after chaos dungeon just for hours
if I
upon
want
hours?
to.
Yeah,
If
Alex
I
wants
have
the
the
freedom to
time-
do whatever he wants to do. If he doesn't want to be locked out of something because they've determined that he's locked
Yeah.
out of it.
Got it. Okay, so going back on
That's dumb.
topic,
Yeah.
Skyscale is being more streamlined. Don't actually know what that means. Hopefully it's like a quest chain or something that you just have to go through, and then boom, you unlock it at the end. The turtle mount was super easy to get. I got it in like 2 days. The griffin, I think, was like a week. The roller beetle was a couple days. So having the Skyscale take so long and it be like the best mount in the game is kind of like not appealing to people such as Alex or Caitlin who don't want to spend hours and hours and hours on a game, especially Guild Wars, to do that stuff. Because Caitlin's got other MMOs to grind, let me tell you.
Did you say one of the Skyscales was a dragon?
Skyscales
They're all
are dragons. They are.
I thought the end
well,
of dragons happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't understand.
I mean,
You would think the Skyscales would be taken away from everybody after this.
Mm-hmm.
no, that's not what End of Dragons means. And
Idiots.
It's specifically talking about the Elder Dragons, Caleb.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
Caleb.
sorry.
yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah. So there are 3 new armor sets that you're going to be able to get in this expansion, other rewards, and then there's a new legendary armor set, which is different than armor sets. So it's cool stuff.
Cool.
All
What
right,
about,
20, 25,
what?
50, and
Oh.
75. Alex is correct. I found it finally.
Okay. I was gonna guess when you said there were 4. That's the cost? Like the 25, 50, 75? Is that what you're talking about?
For
Or those the
standard, deluxe,
breaks?
and ultimate
Yeah. Okay.
versions.
All right.
Yeah.
That's
Earlier
the
when he was
answer.
counting off the fractal dungeon numbers, and he's like, "Well, the first one's 1 to 25, and the second one
Yeah.
is 26 to 50." I think there's 4. Let me think about what the third one is. I think it's 51 to maybe 75.
It's 25 in each tier, yes.
Yeah,
It goes up to
25 each
100.
tier, 4
Yeah, it was
tiers.
just- it's really funny how you were like actually going through the process of counting it out. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. And then you have to get this thing called Agony in order to withstand different tiers. Up into level 100, you need 150 Agony, or else you get
that
hit by...
seems counterintuitive. Agony is what helps you withstand.
It's Agony Resistance, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called.
Resistance. Okay, all right.
Or is it actually just called Agony? I'll have to
I
look
mean,
this
if
again.
you were in agony, the more agony you had, you'd feel like you wouldn't be able to withstand as much because you're in
You
agony.
infuse your armor with, I believe, Agony Resistance, and
Got it.
you need
Got it.
150 Agony Resistance to withstand,
Withstand
the
the
agony
agony.
burn that happens from
Gotcha.
most of their hits.
Amazing.
Who echoing?
I don't know. Alex, talk to me about how your time at BlizzCon is going to be this year when you go and buy that $300 ticket and go to Anaheim.
Okay, no.
That's not
I don't
happening.
even know. I don't even know how to transition out of this transition. BlizzCon is gonna be live streamed for free this year.
Yeah,
That's
but you're
the
going to
point.
Anaheim, right?
No.
$300. They're gonna have like personalized experiences. This is the
No.
first year post.
Who
They're
would
like
ever go
fully
to
online
BlizzCon,
experience.
first of all,
Dude,
in
it's
person?
like, come on, man. It's
You want to
BlizzCon.
sit? You want to be like amped for rumors and then sit in an auditorium waiting for them to announce your favorite thing and then have them like scoff and tell you you're a bad person?
For what
Do you
it's
not
worth.
on phones?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you not have phones? For what it's worth, they did talk about how. So this is the first one they're holding in person, right? Since 2019, since pre-pandemic. They did talk about how this is going to be different than what they had done in the past, because what they had done in the past was a lot more panel focused, and this one seems to be more immersive, like one-on-one experiences, first-person experiences with like games. They're gonna have like almost like a showroom type thing, places you can go actually interact with them instead of just listening to them do cool things on stage and have a metal band and blow some flames up in the air and stuff like that. So maybe it'll be better.
I don't know.
But you're going to Anaheim, right?
No.
Why aren't you going to Anaheim? I thought you were like on scene reporter for
No.
BlizzCon.
If
He's our guy on the
Verizon
streets.
sponsors
Guy
me,
on the
maybe.
streets. Yeah.
If they pay for my work trip.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. The online portion has been traditionally paid, which is crazy because literally every other streaming festival, convention, like conference, everything is always free to
How
watch
much is it
online.
online?
I
Do we
don't
know-
know how
do
much
we
it's
know
been
the
in the
price?
past. I think it was like $30 in previous years to get your BlizzCon line pass,
Okay,
but it's going to be free this year.
that's cool.
Crazy concept. I don't know, maybe they're just trying to win some goodwill from some people because they've had so many publicly hated stories come out in recent times, so trying to work
Could be
on that
nobody
public
watched.
image. Could be nobody watched.
Virtual tickets in 2019 were $50.
$50.
That
Yeah.
seems a little excessive.
Highway robbery.
That is, in fact, highway robbery.
Do we know the amount of people who bought tickets? Is there like statistics on
It's like
tickets
7.
sold?
Seven.
No, I don't know.
Makes sense.
I don't know. It's just a weird.
I mean, what are they gonna show?
I don't know, man.
They've thoroughly killed Overwatch,
Mhm.
and Diablo 4 is out now. I guess they could show Diablo 4 DLC
Season
or
Dark. Or DLC,
StarCraft
maybe.
3.
Yeah.
Even if they were
showcasing-
trying to show the new Overwatch stuff, the conference is until November, so it's gonna be out by then.
Mm.
I mean, maybe I'm a doomer now, but I feel like Overwatch isn't gonna. I feel like they've really shot themselves in the foot.
What? Come on.
I
There's
mean,
so much
maybe they'll
multiple
save it.
times,
Maybe
it
I'm
seems.
talking bullshit, but
They're gonna
I
announce
don't know what other
Overwatch 3.
games. I mean,
I
expansion
mean,
for
they might as
Hearthstone.
well at this point just announce the third one.
They killed HOTS.
Except for it's a single player experience.
Diablo Immortal expansion. New
Sick.
class.
Oh,
Because we
yeah,
all
we're
love
real
Immortal
excited
2.
about that.
They're still
mean-
developing Immortal?
That might not be a joke because Immortal apparently makes boatloads of money. So
Well, yeah.
it's like $2 million a day or something last time I read.
I watched a video the other day of a guy who spent $100,000 in that game, and he was mad because couldn't get into a PvP matchmaking. The system is in place where like if you're so much higher, like eye level, you just can't find a match,
Wow,
and so
weird.
he couldn't protect his immortal status.
Why is that the exact opposite system of Diablo 4?
No
where
idea.
if you have a high level character in Diablo 4, you can just walk into any PvP area you want and murder everybody.
Yeah. PvP and MMOs and ARPGs, just absolute worst game design I've ever experienced. like Destiny 2, like treads that line. Like there's like you get that meta weapon and you might be able to be like uber powerful and successful, but like you also just need the skill of aiming, right?
Yeah.
In MMORPG, you just lay your head across the keyboard at level 100 against anybody else and you just win.
Uh,
You just spend hours and hours and hours just grinding out the highest, like the top, like 30% crit chance, say, I'm just pulling numbers out, is like the highest, right? And that's like the uber lucky weapon roll or something. And, you know, Jim over there has it, who spends his entire existence on ARPGs or MMOs, but then I'm over there with like my roll's highest is like 15 crit chance. So obviously I'm going to lose.
You're only gonna get half the crits.
Shame. What a shame. Chad, are you trying to sneak more content about
Listen,
Guild Wars
I
2 back in
forgot
here,
the
bud?
most important thing, the coolest thing, actually, in my opinion, that's coming to the expansion, which is, and actually, there's a beta happening from now till I think around July 1st, where you can actually test out the weapon mastery. What beta? Weapon mastery is basically a thing. I don't know if you guys understand Guild Wars systems where you don't choose skills, except for
The skills
your 5.
choose you.
Right. Except for your 5 utility skills, you don't choose skills when you're selecting a weapon. This is something that Guild Wars 1 basically had like 8 skills. You chose all the everything that you want. You organized, you built, you theory crafted. Any weapon you were using, it didn't matter. You could choose the skills that you want. Pretty much in every MMO, that's the way it is. You just choose your skills. Your weapon doesn't matter. Your weapon just kind of adds to the damage. Guild Wars 2 came out and was like revolutionary. What we're gonna do is, if you want a longbow, you do longbow skills. If you want a hammer, you do hammer skills. So the thing is, that's still kind of a thing, but they went a step further when they started releasing expansions. And the step further was you had elite specializations. So you could become like, if I'm a Revenant, there's an elite specialization called the Vindicator, which means that I could use a greatsword, and there's certain skills that follow that. Now they're making it to where if you get the weapon mastery. Don't know how this is actually going to work. I'm going to go check it out later, probably, to see exactly what's going down. You no longer are locked into having to play Vindicator in order to use a greatsword. You can be whatever other elite specialization, like there's a Herald, for instance, which is a sword and shield. You can't use sword and you can't use shield if you don't have Herald on, but now they're making it to where, like, as a Vindicator, I could possibly use that shield. Or as a Renegade, instead of using the bow, I'll be able to use the greatsword. So that's pretty cool. I think that's a really good change because honestly, the build blocking of just like you have to choose this elite specialization with these weapons, is like something that's always been, in my opinion, very limiting. And yeah, Alex making faces. What you want? What you guys say? Something to say? You got something to say, bro?
I got nothing to say.
He's always got something to say.
Nope.
That's it. That's all I got.
Okay.
If you want me to go on a rant on PvP
No,
with
you're good.
ARPGs and
No,
MMOs,
good.
like I will sit here for an hour
I
talking
know.
about it.
I know you will. Owen,
Yeah.
that sounded so like.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk. I got. All right. Owen. I
Hey,
miss
yeah,
you, Owen.
hi, hello.
Talk
What's up?
to me. Tell me about Steam Next Fest.
Hey, did you know that Steam Next Fest happened?
No.
Oh yeah, it was a thing. I
Pay
think other
attention.
people played games.
Busy.
Hey Caleb, what'd you play?
Just instantly throwing it over to me, eh? I only have a couple
I
of
played
standouts.
all of
really.
2 games, okay? So this is all you, buddy.
Wow. I only have a couple standouts, really. The first is a puzzle game called Viewfinder. Did anybody else play this?
Yeah, I've watched people play. It looks amazing.
I feel
Yeah.
like I've seen stuff about this.
The
Really
I'll
cool concept.
let you describe it. Yeah.
So it's a puzzle game where you have a camera and you can take a picture of anything in the environment, and then you can take that photo and you can place it somewhere else in the environment, and all of the geometry is placed in its place. So you take a sloping wall, take a picture of it, then you can rotate it, put it over here, and it suddenly becomes a ramp up to whatever you're trying to get to. Just super clever concept. I imagine it must have been really hard to create. It seems like it would be. Make it work as well as it does.
I don't know. When we were talking to Caitlin the other day, she was
Yeah.
like, honestly, you just draw lines and you draw
Ask
lines from
Caitlin.
that
She'd make it
perspective
in
point.
2
It's
seconds.
super simple. Yeah. It was really funny.
Is
Video
this
game
like
development's
a-
easy. You could do it in like a week.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
this-
keep hearing.
Caitlin's comment was just Caleb's smug face, game design
Wow.
is difficult or something like that.
Yeah.
Didn't say that. Those words never came out of my mouth.
Yep.
The other one is a game called Asterogues. Asteroid
Yeah.
Rogues, smash it together, Asterogues.
Oh, good name.
Yeah, Alex and I played this. Firstly, it does need some severe optimization fixes before it
There's
comes out.
a
We got
really
like
bad
20
memory leak of
frames.
some kind.
Also,
We
I heard
started.
I heard you can't play it past like 11:30.
Oh, true.
Oh gosh.
Caleb's computer minimizes whatever is on screen at 11:30 p.m. precisely
Yep.
every night.
Every day.
So weird.
Who
You
knows
have, like,
what's going
parental
on?
controls?
We started-
or-
Yeah, parental
Don't know
controls.
what's going on, man.
We started playing this game, started to run. It was like 165 frames per second. Everything's working perfectly. By the end of the run, it was hitting like high teens.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
it got bad.
Amazing. Amazing.
But
so, like,
it is
teens that are just,
Yeah,
Getting a little
just smacking them.
it's a top-down roguelike, very bullet helly, but it has a couple cool mechanics. So the first character you play as is Pluto,
Hmm.
who is no longer a planet. Anyway, he has a special skill where he spins in a circle, and whenever he narrowly dodges a bullet in the bullet hell while spinning in a circle, it moves into his orbit and spins around him. And then once you're done spinning, you can launch them all at enemies. So every character has like a way of manipulating the bullet hell into turning it back against all the enemies, which is a really cool idea.
It's very fun. It has like if anybody's ever played any bullet hell games, it has the concept of like where you hold the button and you go into slow mode and then your core is exposed and it's like a little dot in the center of your body. And as long as none of the bullets hit that one dot, you don't die. So it allows for like really tight movement around attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a bunch of bullet types that they throw at you that all do specific things you can throw back at people. It's
Yeah, you got like homing bullets, bullets that do electricity, stuff like that.
a lot of fun, actually.
It was.
We were
I'm really excited for it to be playable
Asterogue?
for long periods of time.
Aster Rogues.
Asterogues.
It's not
Asterogues.
Esteragues, which is what we thought it
Esteragues.
was.
It took us
Asterogues.
a really long time to figure out that was rogues on the end of it.
Yeah.
Really long time.
We were
Amazing.
playing, and Caleb just kept on going, man, bullet hell where you use the bullets back against the enemies.
It's really clever.
What a neat concept. They just,
It's cool.
I can't get over the concept.
Owen, did you play anything else?
Yeah, there is this game, Unguard, that I had a lot of fun with. It's this, Caleb, how do you describe this game? It's like Jedi Survivor, only you're a
So-
Spanish,
Conquistador?
yeah, I don't
They
want to
call
say
those
conquistador because I don't
Souls-likes.
think you're colonizing
Swashbuckler.
anything yet. Swashbuckler, yeah.
Is what you
There
want.
you go.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's not really a Spanish word. Come on.
But yeah, I had fun with that. I thought that was pretty solid. You can like parry and dodge.
It's
and
weird that you had
thrust
fun with
and-
that.
Yeah, I mean, I like these other games, like Jedi, Survivor and stuff like that. So like, go figure. But yeah, pretty solid. Had a good
It
time.
was pretty neat. There's a lot of using environment to your benefit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you like kick barrels at people or something.
Throw a lantern at a cannon so it goes off, stuff like that. It was
I wish I
pretty
would
neat.
have had a chance to play it. It looks good. It's in the latest Iron Pineapple video.
Is there no longer a beta for it?
I don't think so. And I looked.
A lot of the games that I had downloaded and didn't get around to playing still had betas available after this next fest.
So that was one of them, and then the other one that I played was let me make sure that I get the name right here. I think it was like Cursed
Aestheticus?
Shadow Gambit, the Cursed Crew.
Shadow Gambit.
Yeah, it's a top-down strategy game where you have like a couple pieces and you have to try to figure out how to use their abilities to like stealthily take down people and their crew and go through and fight these the Inquisition or whatever they're called. It was a fun concept. I think it'll be a good game. Terrible fucking controls. Just absolute worst controls of a game that I've played in a while. But I liked the idea because like each of the quote-unquote cursed crew is somebody who's dead, and so then their like special power moves that they use that as you're like kind of sneaking around has something to do with however they died, or so like the main person has like a sword sticking through her chest, and so she like takes it out and then like stabs the people and puts it back. I don't know why you'd put it back, but that's what she does.
Gotta hold on to it somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, screw your... I don't even know if she has a scabbard or whatever, next to it. I think she just, it's her chest. Fuck it.
It needs a sheath when you can just stab it back inside of you.
Sheath. That's what I was looking for, yeah. Again, I thought it was a neat idea, like there's a lot of interesting characters, and I think it's a cool concept, but I really struggled with those controls, and so that was not fun.
It had a neat mechanic that I don't think I'd seen in games like that before, where you can pause and queue up everybody's moves so that you can have multiple people doing something at the same time, taking care of two guys looking at each other, for instance.
Yeah.
So that was neat.
I think that's a good way to do it.
Okay, out of video games and into a few things film. Let's talk about the
Wait,
so
I
far.
have Next Best Things.
But you have next best things? What the
See,
heck?
I know,
I
I wasn't the only one.
thing a minute ago.
I didn't know you were transitioning out of it. I played Warhaven. That was one that stood out to me.
Oh yeah, how was Warhaven? Because I've been eyeballing that one.
Warhaven's really cool. I think it's gonna be free to play when it comes out, though.
Oh,
We can try it, but it is kind of like a chivalry type game. It's like medieval combat.
Chivalry em up.
Yeah, but the setting is really weird because it's like medieval, but also like future tech, and they got like cars and stuff, but also they're fighting with swords. I don't know. It's so the thing about chivalry is always like, oh, you swing the sword at this angle, so you gotta block at that angle and that thing. This is like way more arcadey than that, so like you kind of just swing, and there's certain moves that have certain counters. I think I like that better. And also you have like magic and superpowers on certain things. Like you play as different classes, and then you build up a meter, and then when your meter's full, you can transform into one of like the hero classes that has special abilities. And they're a lot of fun. There's like support ones and like a girl that can teleport around, and a girl that shoots fireballs. And it's got like general conquest mode where you're capturing points and stuff like that. So it seems pretty fun.
Did it have the sort of manual combat that chivalry has, where you can like
wait a second.
block and parry and
Where
all
you
that?
like aim and stuff like that. It has It has like swing, and it has like a block button, so you can like block the attack. But then it has like the guy with the sword has an ability to like break somebody that's blocking with his special ability that's on a cooldown.
Gotcha.
So you kind of like rock paper scissors that way.
Okay.
And then there's like a big guy with a shield, and like he's not gonna be able to break your block, but he can like charge through and throw people around.
It is. Okay, sorry. No, I just realized that these are the fuckers that took Dark and Darker to court for using the same code, even though that it was just like basic assets that you could get from the Unreal Engine store or something like that, and it was like free. And the only reason they did it was because they had a fuck ton of money, and they wanted to Dark and Darker to not release, so that way they would be the only game inside of this. Fuck these guys. Sorry.
Oh.
I was thinking War Tales was the game that I was like, oh yeah, I was eyeballing that, and I was
War
thinking of
Tales
this.
is really good. You should play War
Yeah,
Tales.
no. This is made by the people that were like, hey, we've got more money, so we can bully people
think
in
you're just
courts to not
talking
release
about-
their game.
I think you're just talking about Nexon, who's the publisher.
Yep. And developer. It is them. Yeah.
Well,
and
I
this
will
is
say
the
this is
game that they
a-
did it over.
I will say this is a lot more fun than Dark and Darker. So
I mean, I don't doubt that, but I don't know. I feel like it's kind of scummy to be like, hey, we got money, and so we're gonna make sure that you don't release your thing and just do like, frivolous lawsuits just to keep you from being able to sell your game. Like, they could have just let Dark and Darker do their thing and then just been like, hey, we did it better, right? And then beat Dark and Darker fair and square. Like, I think that's fine. I think that's fair. But the fact that it's like, nah, we want to be scumbags about it. Cool.
My bad. The other thing that I thought was really standout was Laika Age Through Blood. It's like a mix-up of a Metroidvania and a Trials game. So like you
It's a mix-up.
smash them up, mix them up.
A smash 'em, mix 'em up. Gotcha. Okay, you lost me, but I'm back.
You ride around on a motorcycle and you can like lean forward and back and do flips and stuff like that. It's like one of those Trials games, but it's a Metroidvania where you're like traversing a map and getting new abilities and fighting enemies. So the way it works is like you've got a gun, and so you can aim the gun and shoot people that you're like leaping over on your motorcycle. If you run out of bullets, you got to do a backflip to reload your gun. And then you've got like a parry move that will reflect bullets back at enemies, but you can only use that once, and then you have to do a front flip and land in order to like recharge your parry. And your motorcycle is invulnerable, so you gotta like make sure that you're flipping and hitting bullets with the motorcycle side, not your body side, otherwise you just die. And the story seems pretty dark and gory. It's a really interesting concept.
It looks like it will get so complicated during like boss fights or rooms with a whole bunch of people in them.
Yeah. I'm wondering
It's
how
hard
it'll
to
go.
keep track of where you are in your flips sometimes while people are shooting at you.
Is that all
That's-
you have, Alex? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm good.
Just checking before I try to transition anything. You sure you're good?
Yeah, you know. Oh,
Oh my god.
It's not.
Oh,
I
right.
just thought of a thing. It's not really part of Next Fest, but Caleb and I did play Exoprimal, the open beta.
Hmm.
I don't see an entry for it in the notes, so
Yeah.
sorry.
It's actually John, what you've been playing lately.
Is it?
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Dang. Okay, we can wait for that.
Before we hop out of games, I did want to make mention of this because I said it in the intro, but Schneider National has started advertising inside of American Truck Simulator to try and get people who play the game to come drive for them actual trucks. I find very comical. They have 6 in-game billboards right now that they're advertising to people who play this game because they're like, hey, we thought people who play the game might like to actually drive our trucks. So
It's because Gran Turismo.
right?
Sure.
That's what made me think of it because we saw that trailer.
Yeah.
Which is actually a great transition into film. Let's talk about film for a second.
Yeah, let's talk about
We're going to start with Gran Turismo?
No, we're not going to start about Gran Turismo.
Well, then how
we're
is that
going
a
to talk about how
segue?
there's a Gran Turismo trailer before, so far, the best film of the summer.
Honestly.
Which is
Avatar 2.
Avatar.
Listen.
Get out. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Has everybody seen this at this point?
Yeah.
Nope. Let me know when I can come back.
Oh, man.
I might actually go as far as to say, if they land the third movie, this might be the best trilogy of the decade.
Ooh.
Dang. I just want to clarify, this movie didn't come out during the summer. It came out June 2nd.
Got
Summer.
him.
It
Wow.
depends on what you call summer, because I mean,
Not
school's
summer
out
yet.
like May 20th in the Midwest, so it's
Summer
summer.
has a start date. What are you talking about?
Well, you're talking about like seasonally summer. I'm talking about like the
That's what summer is.
in the
It's a
Midwest.
season.
Summer revolves
Summer
around when
thing.
school's in and out. Okay,
Who's to say when January
That's
starts?
summer break.
that's
Call that
summer.
summer
I
break.
mean,
That's
time
not
is
summer.
a construct only
Time is
developed
a
by
construct.
human
Thank you.
brains. So.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you.
Jesus Christ. Who's to say when it's summer? I don't know.
Who's to
Listen,
say?
for some of us, this came out in the summer. For others, because
Yeah,
know,
it
death
came
is
out
an
in the
illusion
winter
in some
for me,
parts
I
of the
guess.
world.
gosh.
Exactly. Jesus.
Did we say what the movie was? Across the Spider Verse.
Yeah,
Was that
Across
announced?
the
Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's
This
good. It's a good
movie-
movie.
movie
It's a good
was-
movie.
I like
Is
to
this
start
like
with
a
Spider-Man.
Is this a spoiler-free zone or is this spoiler zone or?
The spoiler zone. Owen's muted.
Jake, you seen it?
Oh yeah,
Spoilers,
I saw it.
everybody.
I saw it
You
like
saw
opening
it.
How
night
is-
actually.
How's
Well
Owen not
before
seen
we did.
this?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I am surprised.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Now that we've talked enough about spoilers, and you can skip to what's the timestamp that we're gonna stop talking about this?
72.
Ooh. Thank you, Jake.
I thought that this movie, off the back and the heels, I watched Into the Spider-Verse like minutes before going to see Across the Spider. Like I finished at 3, and 3:30 is when the movie was. So off the heels of Into the Spider-Verse, going into this, seeing a bunch of the details from Into the Spider-Verse, the pacing of the movie, I thought it was so good, and I am so infuriated there is a to be continued. But also at the same time, if they, like I said, if like the opening sequence of this next movie is just gonna be bonkers. There's just so much going on. All right, anybody want to get into detail here? Anybody want to dig in?
Wait, before we do that, can we just mention that Owen just sent a message that says "getting pie"?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grab some pie.
He left
Yeah,
his
see you
he
later.
left his chair to go get pie. Oh, sorry. All right, it's very specific. Not be right back. Getting
Yeah.
pie. Everybody needs to know. Sorry. Let's continue talking about Spider-Man. That was wild. I mean, this movie was
heard-
insane, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I heard this movie described as unquestionably better than the first movie.
Yeah, by someone on a
By
famous
somebody.
podcast somewhere.
I'm
This
curious
is-
as to where now.
Well,
This is
that's-
what-
that's
the
what
guy's
Jake
name
said.
is
This
Jake
is
John
what Caleb said.
Fetterkyle.
Jake said.
I believe
Oh,
those
I
are
mean,
the words Jake used.
I'll stand by that. To be fair, I haven't seen the first one in a while,
Oh,
but
I mean, you're correct.
Yeah.
It's so
Okay.
much better.
Yeah.
The first one was my favorite Spider-Man movie, and this blows it out of the water, I feel like.
I feel like, to my mind, it's not. Again, I haven't seen it in a while, so maybe I'm talking bullshit.
I feel like it's interesting because if you actually look at Across the Spider-Verse, there is a lot of buildup. But Into the Spider-Verse, I think, because of how it needs to build up because of how it's introduced, like, you know, Miles getting his powers, Miles kind of learning. There's that. I mean, I sent a YouTube video to you know, Alex, Caleb, and Aaron, and I'll just send it to the Horizon here in a little bit. But there's this YouTuber that I listen to who basically explains the entire movie up until the point of the leap of faith and Into the Spider-Verse, and how it's like the most incredible payoff climax in any
I think
movie.
we literally talked about that video like when the first movie came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is that there's also a leap of faith within Across the Spider-Verse when he's like standing on the train, you know, holding himself, and he just like casually just falls off of it. And it's just like, it's no longer him diving into you know, the wild city of, you know, adulthood or you know, the pressures of society. He's free falling. He's literally just going into his own way, and it's like, it's so good. It's just so good. The way he's like, he just looks at Miguel and like the
Are you
way
guys-
he pushes him back.
Sorry, I don't have to interrupt. Are you guys seeing this extra content the video viewers are gonna get?
Oh yeah.
Of Owen eating
Owen
pie.
just shoving this pie in his face.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
My goodness.
But yeah,
That's
so there's,
excellent.
I think Into the Spider-Verse is definitely a slower pace on purpose, and it honestly tells a very compelling and awesome story. I think witnessing Kingpin just absolutely slay a Spider-Man in the first like 5 minutes of the movie is something that's absolutely bonkers. And then coming to Across the Spider-Verse, like just like I said, there is that build-up. But there's action along the way. There's different fights that you get to see, like Gwendu and
It's like tons of stuff
Miguel
happening all
and-
the time.
yeah, but there's still that arching like build up of like this is going somewhere. This needs to like, this is, first of all, I didn't watch any trailers or anything, so when the to be continued happened, I leaned over to Alex and I was like, I don't know, this is gonna be a to be continued. I don't know it's gonna be
Yeah.
a part one. What?
Man,
yeah,
that
I
sucks.
had no idea either.
That sucks for you guys.
Yeah,
I was pretty unhappy.
Just in terms of like art, it feels like the first movie was kind of like an experiment that paid off, and then this movie
Oh,
they
yeah.
put like a huge budget behind because it's just so much more crazy over the top stuff happening with the art and the animation. The first 15-minute sequence with Gwen and her world and her completely alternate artistic style to like everything that's happening over there is so cool. How like character emotions were displayed through like color of the world around them and stuff like that. That was really, really cool.
Can I
I
touch on
watched,
the art aspect real quick?
Yeah.
From a technical standpoint, I think this is really cool. I learned that in the first movie, the way that they make Miles Morales stand out from the other characters is everybody in the movie is animated every frame, but Miles is animated every second frame.
He's
So
animated on twos.
On twos. Importantly, in this film, Cyberpunk is animated on threes. So when you watch it, he feels so out of place, and you can feel not only from the art style, but you can also feel by the way that they're animated that they are not in the same space. But it flows so well, and it feels like it just works, and it just looks great. I love that.
Yeah. Stole my thunder.
I didn't know that was your thunder. I thought you were moving on
was-
from the animated part.
That was the point I was
Alex
about to
wanted
make,
to
like,
talk
right
about
now.
Next
Oh
Fest.
my gosh.
We're gonna go back.
The different
It took
different
them-
animation styles for each character on screen are just so cool. Like Gwen kind of moving with his ballerina style, and Miles with his almost feels hip hop the
Yeah.
way he moves around the world.
Exaggerated
Alex, should I-
swagger
So
of a black teen.
Should I
I want
jump
that to
in and
say
talk about how long it took him to get Spider-Punk here?
3 years. That's what I was going to say.
I knew that's what you were going to say.
I was going to say it took him 3 years to get Spider-Punk right.
I feel like they did a good job of
Gosh.
making me hate that character at first and then really like him by the end.
Yeah.
Honestly, best character in the whole movie. Every time he spoke, I was like, "Fucking yes, this
I
guy,
understood
this guy
like
gets
half
it."
of what he said.
Did you guys
man.
know
I
that was
could not
Daniel
keep
Kaluuya?
up.
I didn't know until after the fact.
I guess that if you listen, you can probably hear his tone, but just the way he was speaking, it's so hard to even understand the words that he's saying, first of all.
Yeah.
Very well done.
The other really cool thing is including like live action segments or like live action actors or like the clips from the Raimi films. So cool.
Even
'Cause it's
clips
like-
from like the old video games.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Donald Glover was just in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in
Wow,
a cell at
man.
one point. It's like, what's up?
What the heck was that
I'm
about?
Donald Glover. How you doing?
I think the small details surrounding, which is going to take forever to go back and look at, even into the Spider-Verse and across the Spider-Verse, just the minute little things that happen is kind of just incredible. I showed Caleb, Aaron, and Alex a picture of when we see Spot at the end. If you look back at Into the Spider-Verse, when Uncle Aaron spray paints a silhouette around Miles in the subway, they're almost identical. Almost like it was foreshadowing, like Spot's gonna happen, like, you know, that's he's the one that's, you know, the Spider 42 is coming in, and that's, you know, it's just kind of giving you a little foresight there.
And, like, what a good job they did building Spot up from being basically a joke to being like really menacing, and not just
Right.
like a really good villain, but perfect villain for a story about the multiverse.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, how like if you see Peter Parker and Miles running away from the lab, Miles throws the bagel back and it says bagel and like as it hits him, and then like that's, you know, who the guy is who's Spot. When Spot's explaining his origin to Miles and it goes into that black and white world, and there's, you know, the drawings that are constantly happening. At one point, you actually see Spider 42 about to bite Miles in the other realm. He had, like, you actually see he has the braids, and then when it comes into it teleports and it, you know, it bites the real Miles, or not the real, the what is it, Earth, whatever, the R Miles, the ones that we're following.
Good guy, Miles.
Also, when Miguel is chasing him on the train, Miguel flashes purple and green, and there's like a little undertone of the Prowler's music there. And then if you actually look in when Miles meets Peter Parker for the first time, the one that dies, his Spidey sense flashes purple and green, so he was supposed to be the Prowler, supposedly. There's just key stuff like that that's so incredible to actually like dig into and look at. That is just like there's just nuggets everywhere. This movie is just so insane to look through and find out. And there's like, my TikTok is absolutely filled with Across the Spider-Verse right now, because I just stop and watch every single thing.
I also feel like it was you that made the comment. You'd seen somebody who said Across the Spider-Verse is only for like Marvel fanatics or something.
Oh, didn't Alex say that there was a review or something?
Yeah, sorry, I don't remember who said it. I just think that's such
yeah.
a dumb way to talk about this movie because you don't need to know anything about
Oh, absolutely
other than
not.
just like the base concept of who Spider-Man is. You don't need to know anything else about it to appreciate this movie because
I have it here because
Okay.
I was wondering like who wouldn't like this movie because it's not a perfect 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the negative review is for a hardcore Spider-Man follower, it's manna from heaven. For a casual viewer, it's almost impossible to figure out. That's the quote
Does
from the
not
review.
seem that
I'm not
complicated.
sure. Yeah, I feel like every element of the movie that could be complicated is explained within the movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like maybe if you've never heard of multiverses before, so which
Well-
means you've not seen a movie in the last like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I almost think that that's just a guy mad that he doesn't recognize all of the Spider-Man. Like,
It
Yeah.
could be.
because that's the only part that I could really realistically see that's like, there's the Spider-Man that's in the wheelchair or whatever, and that's a real Spider-Man. I mean, they're all real I don't know all of them, but I didn't care because it's whatever. That's not the main point of the
Right.
story. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely going to get more out of it the more Spider-Man you know, but the majority of it is not going to matter how much Spider-Man you know.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean-
Like I know Miles Morales and Peter Parker. That's like my list.
Well, you also know Peter parked car. That's important one to know.
It's like I don't think my experience would have been better if I knew about the Tyrannosaurus Spider-Man
Yeah.
who was on it
I-
for 1 second. I wouldn't have been like, "Oh my god, look, my life is so much better." I would have been like, "Oh,
not even a real
funny
Spider-Man.
joke."
Yeah, I think it's better that you like if that's a real thing. I think it's better that you didn't know.
Yeah,
because
right?
it just
That
makes
one is better. You
It
didn't
delivers so
know.
much
Yeah.
better. Yeah. I think this movie is for anybody who wants to watch something that is visually just very unique. It's like when I try to describe like Arcane to somebody,
Mhm.
I'm like, what? Well, they're like, what makes it special? I'm like, well, I've never seen anything animated quite like the way that Arcane is animated. I think it's
Mhm.
honestly incredible. This falls to me in that same category. Not that they're similarly animated, but because they're so unique in their animation style that I think it's just amazing. It's like a piece of art. You're just watching 2 hours and 15 minutes of art.
Yeah.
They had a preview for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, and it also had a strikingly unique animation style.
So
Very excited about that.
One other thing that you should go back and actually look for is at the ending where it's like everything's building up. Like Gwen's getting her, Spider Army. Miles is chained up to the a punching bag, which is a reflection of what Peter Parker was in the first movie, where Miles had him chained up to the punching bag. One of the things that is actually fantastic is you hear Miles' background music, you hear Prowler's background music, and you hear Gwen's background music all layered on top of each other, and they all just somehow flow so perfect together. Which, I mean, you probably think back to it in the movie theater when you're hearing that. Like, there was, the siren Prowler, there was the the really heroic tones of, Miles' music, and then the Gwen Stacy's drums right from the beginning, her soundtrack. So all that layered together, incredible.
Awesome. What a good movie. Everybody needs to go see it.
One other thing I thought was interesting. I don't know. I assume we've all only seen it once, but apparently there are multiple versions
Oh, yeah.
in theaters where like different edits. Like it sounds like it's very slight.
Mhm.
But, like different.
It sounds like
edits have
different
made it.
jokes and stuff.
Yeah, which is crazy. I'm really excited to get it on DVD and see, or DVD. What am I talking about? I'm gonna get it on Blu-ray. Yeah, when I finally get it on VHS.
Jump back a couple years.
I'm the one who was saying that frickin' Cyberpunk was on PS3. I'm waiting past today. I don't know what's going on.
It's okay.
But I'm really excited to get it and see all these different things and see like what all I missed.
Mm-hmm. I'd be excited for at some point a movie that has like different endings in
When
theaters.
Can
I
I
first
interest you in
saw
the movie Clue?
Oh,
Literally did that.
that does, doesn't it? Yeah.
really,
Mhm.
Huh.
Yeah,
Interesting.
different theaters had different endings of the movie, so that way at the end when people were talking about it, literally they would have different opinions on it
That's-
because different things happened.
that's really cool. I
wanna see
thought
more of
at
that.
first when I saw the article about different versions of Spider-Man across the Spider-Verse, that's what they were going to do. I thought, what a wild idea. Because can you imagine something this big coming out and then all of a sudden they just have like just a completely different ending? You walk out the theater, you talk to somebody in a different state. We'd be having this conversation and be like, I don't remember that happening. That's not
Well,
it.
I'm curious.
Yeah, Gwen
Jake
Stacy
went and saw
died.
Jake went and saw it, and we saw it. And there's a list here if you guys actually do want to dive into this, or if you want to keep this like a thing later and you actually want to try to discover this stuff yourself, then we can do that. But there's a list here, and I'm curious if Jake saw some of the things different than us. So if you guys look through that Kotaku thing, or I don't know if you want to. So.
Well, I could tell you, like, at least the first one, going almost full vampire. We saw that in our version.
I'm pretty sure that was in my version as well.
Yeah.
I'll read through this.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a few weeks for me, so I'm not sure if I'll remember.
I need to think about these scenes.
All these details.
It's cool, though.
They're all really small, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like it's not major. But yeah, best movie that's ever been made, and you should all go see it.
Oh.
Okay, that might have been an exaggeration.
I will definitely say it is the best movie of the June, July, August time frame so far.
Whatever we call that time.
I know. Okay, we should probably also talk about when Owen gets back here in a second. We need to probably talk about Barbie marketing and how it's just absolutely on point.
It's crazy. Like,
Can you tell me how?
I mean, okay. So let's see. We've got a beach house in Malibu that is actually painted pink to promote the movie. They built the Barbie Malibu dream house.
Heck yeah.
Because, like, why not? You got, Barbie Xboxes and controllers to go with, oh, did you like Forza? Cool, the Barbie cars and Forzas, you can drive that thing around. Like, there's Barbie everything, man. It's everywhere. And, like, they're just doing such a good job of being like, hey, this movie, hey, it's coming out, and it's gonna be kind of cool. And we think you should watch it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sold.
Unless it's really poor writing, it's going to be hard for the movie not to be good, considering it's Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie. It'd be really tough to not deliver. I feel like even movies that they're in that maybe not be the most well scripted, like they're such good actors that they can carry the film.
I can't imagine a plot or a premise for this movie. That's the only thing. Like, I'm not gonna watch a trailer or anything. I might see it, but like, I just can't. There's nothing in my head that can creatively imagine anything that this movie could be about.
I mean, you could insert literally any story into it, though, right? Because the whole point of Barbie is that you're creating your own thing, like whatever story it is. Like, obviously the characters have a background, but
oh, what's that movie with he's like being watched and he finds a door to like the real world, but he's like trapped inside this dome, but he didn't know, and it's like his whole life.
The Truman Show.
Yeah, so it's just gonna be that with Barbie.
Yeah, that. Yeah, correct. I'm excited about it. I think it looks good.
It looks absolutely phenomenal, and the more that I see about it, the more I am just on board with our, the Barbie Oppenheimer double feature. Like, I'm just in. This is gonna be great.
Listen, there's one thing I have seen on TikTok, and I flipped through it because honestly, like I said, I hate trailers. And it's Margot Robbie walking in heels, and then she just effortlessly slips out of them and continues walking as if it's a Barbie foot because she's on her. And like, in order to do that without the shoes moving, that's so impressive to me, and I don't understand how it works.
It's pretty insane.
I mean, yeah, it's basically like just being on point, but you don't have the shoes for it.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, as she removes the shoes don't, like, they just don't move at all.
It's in the trailer. I've seen it. I know exactly the shot you're talking about. Yeah, it's insane.
Okay, before we get into what you've been playing lately, Alex, it seems like you have
more
to,
of this
to
podcast
rant about Tidal.
Oh.
I'm assuming this is the music
Yeah, the music service.
service.
Yeah.
I didn't know where else to put this, but I wanted to talk about it because don't give them money.
Why?
They're mean.
They're mean. Oh no.
No. Does this say
I-
bad words to you?
I had a trial account that I signed up like 4 or 5 years ago with them to check it out. And it's basically been inactive since then. And then all of a sudden I had a charge on my credit card from them. And I was like, that's weird. That can't be right. So then I go try to log into my account. Can't. I try to reset my password and I get no email for it. So I'm like, well, that sucks. So then I get contact support and I'm like, can't reset my password. Can't get an email, my email. I got this charge. What's going on? So they're like, oh yeah, it looks like your email was changed today. That's weird. And I was like, oh yeah, that is weird. So I get in there and I realize that my account's been hacked and somebody's charged, title service to my account and it's an entire family plan. And they've invited 5 people on it. So I shut all that down and talked to support again. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. Got my account back, passwords reset, emails set up correctly. I need a refund for this because, somebody hacked my account and charged money on it. And they're like, no. I'm like, what?
Oh, no.
They're like, no, it's, our TOS says we don't give refunds. So no.
What?
And I'm like, excuse, I didn't authorize this purchase. Like my account was accessed without my knowledge and it was purchased without my consent. And they're like, doesn't matter. Sorry. See you later.
Wow. I think
So-
at that point you can go to your credit card company and just be
Yeah.
like, hey.
Yeah, so that's what I did. I went into my credit card and did a chargeback, and that was successful.
Heck yeah.
So
Wow.
getting my money
Who's the
back that
sucker
way.
now?
But
Yeah,
what the
got
heck,
'em.
title? No exceptions for like unauthorized access. I could understand if like I signed up for a subscription and then decided, you know what, I don't actually want this and canceled it and then
Yeah.
said, can I get a refund? And then I'd be like, sorry, our terms of service that you agreed to says no refunds.
I mean, you could have also worked the system and went and changed your email, signed
Oh
up
my
for a
gosh.
family plan, paid for a
Yeah.
family plan, and then be like,
Yeah.
you know what, I don't want this service anymore, and then try to cancel it and get a refund, which is
I
probably what
bet,
you
I
did.
bet that is what you did. That sounds like you.
Get out of here.
Sounds like something he'd do.
I was just really annoyed.
Yeah, I
So-
can tell.
Mhm.
All right, well, title can get out. Let's move on. What have you been playing lately? Owen,
Hey.
what have you been playing?
Well, there's this game called Fallout 76.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard about it. It's actually a really fun game where you get to, like go around and you shoot stuff with your friends and other people in the community, and you get to like build a cool little base and things like that. They're on their like, I don't know, some very large number of seasons because they've been doing this thing for forever. The new update's actually pretty fun. They added some new cryptids in there, so you can shoot some cryptids and have some new big bosses to fight. Every hour, the event pops up to do it. So, like, you just log in at the top of the hour, kill the big boss guy, have a good time, go back home. Fun game.
There's still pretty big player base at this point.
I heard that there's, a million some players in the Wastelands, and I have to say that's pretty spot on. I mean, like, the servers only hold, I don't know, like 30 or 40 people or something like that, but, like, I go into full servers. I had today when I was playing that Allison jumped into a server, and normally I would follow after, and I couldn't because the server was full, and so I had to jump into a different server. So like, there is a pretty active, active user base in my
Good.
opinion, from what I see, both there and on the Reddit thread.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah. So we've been playing that. Magic the Gathering. There's this card game called Magic the Gathering. They did this thing with Lord of the Rings. I talked about it last podcast. It's still pretty fun. And then also Sims 4 announced that they're getting horses. So I've been playing Sims 4 a little bit because I like
Can you
Sims.
raise a family of horses? Is that what it is?
You can
Please say yes.
you can literally like play the horse as if it was a sim, and you can have little fowls and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh.
And
They've
so
arrived.
I'm kind of excited because like my inner horse girl wants to ride a little pony.
Can you get mommy horse and daddy horse to go under the sheets and woohoo?
Yeah, I think you can. I think there's a bale of hay that'll allow you to do that.
Can the horse become mayor?
I don't know. I'm sure with some sort of mod.
And then, on top of that, can that horse who has now become mayor have sex with everybody that voted for them?
Okay, I'm sorry. That was the
hope
president
Okay.
of the Sims Nation, not just a mayor.
Yeah, but that didn't work with my mayor joke. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe I'm sure that there's mods to be able to do a lot of stuff to kind of be able to
Here, I'll
have
check.
more control.
I'm gonna Google Sims horse fucking and see what comes up.
Incognito, baby?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably should have done incognito.
I was gonna say between the werewolf stuff, the cat stuff, the dog stuff, the mermaid stuff, and then this. I think that this is a game built for and made by furries, and I respect that, honestly. But hey, sometimes it's nice to have a game where you can, get away from your troubles in the world and have a simulation of what it's like to actually be able to afford a house.
Oh man.
So it's been a nice escape from my weekends of house hunting.
Okay. Jake, how about you?
So actually, 3 of us have been playing Remnant from the Ashes. Me, Caleb, and Alex have all been playing Remnant from the Ashes. It's kind of a random game from like 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know. The sequel's coming out in like a month or so.
Yeah.
It's basically Dark Souls, but if Dark Souls was a third-person shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot better than that description led me to believe. Like that description's obviously very reductive, but it's actually really fun. Obviously, it's got 3-player co-op. There's 4 classes, so obviously you can only play with 2 other friends, so there's 3 of you.
Hey, there's only 3 classes in that one.
Is that right? Oh, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
there's
The classes
5 in
just
the
don't
next
matter
one.
at all. Yeah, there's 5 in the next one, 3-player co-op.
Yeah.
But no, it's actually really fun. It has really good boss design, really good enemy design. It does something that I've never really seen in a game before, where it sort of randomizes bosses that you're gonna encounter across your playtime. Like, it feels like a lot of it's kind of just, like, pulling from different, like, pools of stuff, so there's a chance you're just not gonna encounter this one boss, or, like, an NPC may or may not show up. Which, on the one hand, it's like, yeah, that really increases replayability, but on the other hand, we went through, like, more than half the game where Alex, who was doing, like, a melee build, we just didn't get any melee weapons.
Yeah.
Because we just
find any
didn't
new
happen
ones.
to encounter any of the bosses that drop melee weapons.
And then we decided, let's just look it up at some point. And I started looking at all the weapons. I was like, oh, well, we can't get that one because we didn't get that boss. Can't get that one because we didn't get that boss. Can't get that one because we didn't kill that boss correctly.
Yeah, there are also
So-
bosses there are multiple ways to defeat the boss. It, like, literally one was like, if you hit this boss in the legs, like a lot, they will drop a different weapon than if you just kill them normally.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Wow. That's very, like, specific.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like,
Yeah.
a strange thing, too, because you're in a boss fight. It's not like, well,
not
if you
gonna
do
shoot their
this
legs.
step specifically, you get something.
Yeah.
One
Yeah,
of them,
it's
the goal is you have to, in the boss arena, find the stairs downstairs, and all 3 of you go downstairs and each hide in different pots, and then a cutscene plays, and you get a different item.
yeah.
What?
You like avoid fighting the boss instead of fighting him and killing him.
Yeah, wild.
All right.
Just so weird.
It's
Like
on
when
the
you
one
start,
hand, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like when you start a campaign, it decides, like it rolls the campaign at the start and decides which bosses are going to appear and which are not. And then if you want to access any of that other content, they have a separate mode called Adventure Mode where you can re-roll different areas of the campaign and try to farm it.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I'm not a huge fan of it because I like to see all of the content in a game.
Yeah.
Like, call me crazy, but I want to be able to fight every boss in the game without playing it 3 times back to back.
The game
You
would have
know?
just been probably twice as long if that were the case.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I I feel like it's so weird to make all this content and then bury half of it so that half your players aren't even going to know about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm focusing a lot on that just because it's the weirdest thing I think this game does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've never seen a game do that. But it is genuinely a very, very fun game. You have a lot of build flexibility. You basically get traits that you unlock in kind of like weird ways. Like, literally, if you rack up enough headshots, you get a trait that's like, hey, your headshot damage goes up. And so you basically, as you level up, you can put points in these different traits, and you unlock them by doing different bosses, which is also weird because sometimes a boss won't show up who gives you a certain trait that you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird freaking system.
There's
I
even
don't really
events,
get it.
random events that can happen that don't happen in some runs and do in others.
Yeah.
And NPCs that you just
And
never
items.
see.
Like
Yeah.
we reran Earth 3 times and ending up getting both of the rings that can spawn there, which ended
Mhm.
up being basically my build for the entire game because they work really well together.
I want to keep hammering home. This game is really good. It's really fun. I feel like I'm coming across really negative because I'm talking about all the weird shit about it. But it's really fun. Really good boss design. The guns feel great to shoot. A lot of build variety. Really fun to build your character. One last negative thing about it, though. So like we said, Alex was doing like a melee build, but there are some bosses, you literally can't melee them.
They're just
Like,
like
there was a
flying
boss-
in the air.
Yeah, there are flying enemies, and it's like, well, can't hit them with a sword.
It kind of feels like, despite there being a class based around it, melee is a little bit of an afterthought for the
Yeah,
game.
they
Yeah.
really didn't think you would do it, even though, like, there's a ton of support for it. You can get different melee weapons. You can get different traits that increase melee damage and swing speed. And there are items that increase your swing speed. And then it's like, did you use those? You clown. You can't use
You
those.
can't hit this boss. He's
Yeah,
flying
this
over
is-
there.
It's a game about guns. Use your guns more.
Also, you're a melee guy, so you invested a lot of materials in leveling up close range weapons because you're on top of people all the time. You fool.
Yeah.
You're
This enemy is ranged only. Sorry. There were like 3 bosses where we were like hard stuck for a while because it's like Alex's build does not work. He needs to reconfigure everything, switch his gun, switch all his gear, so that way he can even
I'm a
interact
sniper
with the
now,
boss.
guys. Don't worry.
God, such a weird choice. I really
least-
hope they fix that in the next game.
So they do have like the Souls upgrade system where there's like certain materials that upgrade a thing a certain amount and then it switches to a new, more rare material. So at a certain point, you have a bunch of those earlier game materials. And if you
Mhm.
get like a new item, you can just like level it up a bunch really fast. So that kind of balanced out that one issue that we had where I was like, all right, I'm just going to level up the sniper real quick, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of the freaking upgrade, I'm just gonna bitch about this game. It's great. I love it so much. I have so much to complain about. Okay. So everyone who's played Dark Souls,
Oh yeah, you're really
can
upset
upgrade.
about
You
this.
have like a refillable heal, and there's a certain item you can find that will give you more uses of the heal, and that's all that item does. And this game works the same way. You have a rechargeable heal, and there's an item that lets you get more heal. That's all it does for 97% of the game. And then you reach top tier gear, and it goes, oh, did you want to make this like level 10 gear? Well, guess what? You need that item that upgrades your Estus. And it's like, well, shit, how do I get more? And it's like, you don't. There's like 5 in the whole game. So like, if you use them all because there's never been anything else to use them on, tough shit. Your gun's not getting better. You're stuck now. So dumb.
It was very
Why is it
funny.
like that?
It was exceptionally funny because Jake spent his and then we immediately after him spending it learned
Mhm.
that. And then I
No.
immediately after
I was
that
so
spent
upset.
it on my weapon instead. Like all in the same like 2-minute span.
It was devastating.
And I was like,
Literally, we spawned back at base. I ran straight there, got another Estus, went to the weapon upgrade, and went, "Oh, you need that upgrade thing." I was like, "No shot, no
And I was
freaking
like,
way."
guess I'll just spend mine on my weapon like a smart guy.
Such a dumb way to do it. Why is it like that?
But it's
I
a
don't
really
know.
good game.
Genuinely
really
it is.
fun.
Genuinely it is very good. It's very
It's
fun.
really good. Like you can put different weapon mods and different weapons, which is basically your active abilities, so you can like mix and match those really like to benefit your class and playstyle.
There's really cool boss weapons as well that you can get that usually they have like unique specials. So like I had this awesome crossbow that shot 5 bolts each shot, but then I could use my special to turn it into one massive bolt that did a ton of bleed damage. That was really fun. And just like kind of min-maxing damage with that was really fun. And then you also have like a secondary weapon that you can also put a special mod on. So like Caleb and I were running a build where like our secondary weapon, or maybe it was Caleb's primary, I don't know. But we would summon stuff. So we would summon like turrets, and then I would switch back to my crossbow and like just do a ton of damage while the turret was picking away at them. It's really cool. It's really fun.
Surprisingly deep
weird
build
choices.
crafting.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like the next game's going to have even a lot more, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like they're reworking a lot of stuff, which I think is exciting. That's kind of the fun part of that game.
Stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Okay, enough about that game, though. I also played the Final Fantasy 16 demo. I really only want to bring this up because we were kind of dunking on it last podcast.
Yeah.
Because they have that real-time lore thing, because it sounds like the plot's a real mess.
Yeah.
The demo's really fun. The game's out now, and a lot of people have posted like really positive reviews, so I'm actually very excited for it. The demo, the combat's really fun. It's really fast-paced. I think they got the combat designer from Devil May Cry to basically design the combat. And it shows. You have like split-second dodges. The combos are really satisfying to pull off. It's really flashy. The one thing I'll say about... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, the real-time lore thing actually useful. I actually used it during the demo.
It's actually really nice. If only because, like, you're sitting in a cutscene and they're like, ah, shit, like, Joshua's trapped over there and we don't know what to do. And it's just like, who's Joshua? Like, I haven't played this game in, like, 2 hours. I don't remember him. And so you hit it and it's like, oh, that guy. That guy is who we're talking about. Great. Because I feel like there are so many times you're playing a game and they just randomly mention a name and it's like, man, I set this down a week ago. I don't remember that guy's name. It's like, oh, the edgy guy, the edgy emo boy. Got it. I remember him. So it is actually really helpful. The one comment I will have is there's a lot of cutscenes. I think I played this demo for like 4 hours, and it's probably about 3 hours of cutscene. Is that right? That's probably an exaggeration. It's a lot of cutscene.
I was going to say it's like 60% cutscene at least.
It's a lot. It's so much cutscene. Which, like, it's Final Fantasy. Maybe that's kind of par for the course, but, like, damn.
Some really
So
cool
much.
ones.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
In there.
they're not bad cutscenes, actually. I was actually pretty interested in the story. But there were parts where I was like, can I play the game, like, a little bit? I kind of want to know what the game's like. So that was kind of a thing.
I'm interested to see how it unfolds because they're treating the summons as like basically weapons of mass destruction, and like
that's
that
a
just
really
seems really cool.
idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the story actually seems interesting. I know we were dunking on it, but it seems cool. I don't know. I feel like they might have actually done a good job. Reviews have been really positive. I'm excited to check this one out. And then the last thing I played Spider-Man Miles Morales. We were talking about this a little bit before the cast. It's good. It's basically just more Spider-Man, Disney's Marvel's Spider-Man by Insomniac. But Miles Morales, the character, sucks ass. I hate him. not in the movie. As we established, across the Spider-Verse, kicks ass. He's amazing. I love him in that. In this, he's a whiny little bitch. All he does is suck Peter Parker's cock the whole game. I hate it. Just the whole game, he's like, oh, Peter's so cool. I wish it was more like Peter. I'm like, shut up. He's not even in this game.
Gosh.
I don't care. He's got
he
this
like talks to you on
whiny
the
little
phone
voice.
for a second.
Sorry?
He like talks to you on the phone for a second. He's in the game.
I mean, he's technically in it, but the plot is literally that he's on vacation and you have to be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, Pete would do so much better. Like, I was doing a side quest. I was doing like a training thing, and Peter's like talking. He's like, oh, well, my Aunt May said this. And Miles is like, oh, Aunt May's the best person. I'm like, you don't even know her. She's just some old lady. I don't care about her, Miles. Get out of here. God. Shut up. I hate
I asked
you.
Alex before the podcast, actually a little while ago, since Steam Summer Sale's going on, whether or not I should, or whether or not I have to play Spider-Man to play Miles Morales. And he was like, just skip Miles Morales. Play
Mhm.
Spider-Man.
That is absolutely the way to go. They're
Yeah.
almost the same price, and the base game is literally twice the length.
If not more.
It's
like-
pretty brutal.
What would you say Miles Morales is worth on sale?
30
$30
bucks? 30 feels about right. I think I paid 40, and that was... I enjoyed it a lot. I had fun. There's a lot of really fun skins. Actually, speaking of, we were talking about this earlier, there's a skin in this game. It's his Into the Spider-Verse skin, and it runs at a lower frame rate than everything else, so it looks like he does in the
That's
movie.
cool.
It's so cool. It's awesome. I love it so much. It's just when Miles speaks that I hate him. I hate him. When he just walks around, he punches people. Love it. Love that. Just don't speak. Don't let him
Basically,
talk.
play that game with the volume of dialogue turned down.
Honestly, not a bad idea.
I would have probably said that it was worth $30 new when it came out. At this point, it should be like way less.
That's
In my mind.
I think that's a fair analysis. The fact that they're charging, it's like $50 not on sale, which
Yeah.
is highway robbery. That is insane to me.
Crazy. Caleb, how about you?
Picked up Amnesia: The Bunker, the latest Amnesia game. This one's again made by Frictional, unlike Machine for Pigs.
Machine for Pigs.
Yeah. This is I think a real return to form to their original kind of super creepy horror vibe.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple times I was playing it late at night with all the lights off, and I was like, I need to stop playing this for right now because it just got a little spoopy, just a little spoopy. It doesn't play quite like the early Amnesia game, where it's not linear. There's like a safe room in the center, and you have to keep going out to different areas of the bunker and finding whatever you need, a wrench, bolt cutters, etc., in order to finally escape. So there's a lot of back and forth between the different areas where you're essentially doing like a run where you throw a bunch of fuel in the generator, flip it on, and sprint out to try to grab whatever you can before the monster shows up and tries to chase you down. It's really neat. Pretty good ending, too.
Who was Rebirth made by?
That's literally what I was gonna ask.
I think it was Frictional, but I don't think it did very well. I didn't play
Yeah,
Rebirth.
Frictional Games.
Okay,
It's
I was-
mostly positive.
Okay.
Holy crap, you could get it for $6 right now.
Whoa.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Wait, I already own it. Why am I saying that?
He gets excited.
Look, these humble bundles get me. I forget the games I own. It's fine.
I, speaking of Humble Bundle, found out that you can only apply 50 games to your account at one time on Steam.
That's a lot of games.
Yeah.
Other than the bunker, Alex and I have been playing a couple random games. We played the Exoprimal beta.
Yeah.
What's the best description for that game? It's a PvEVP and kind of a class-based hero shooter almost, where you mostly fight dinosaurs, and it's both teams are doing the same objectives as they move through the world. And every time you complete an objective, it tells you if the other team is faster or slower, and then it shows like ghost images of them finishing the objective or moving on to the next one. You can kind of keep track of like where the other team is, and you're both on a race through a whole bunch of objectives until you get to the final one, where you get spawned into the same map, and you're both pushing a cart to the same objective. And at the end, you can like kind of battle it out as a final hurrah to try to beat them to the point. It's pretty
Fine.
interesting. No, so it's really weird. One of the maps, even, we completed the first objective, and it was like, hey, you did a real good job. We're gonna throw everybody, both teams together against one giant dinosaur, and you gotta fight that now. So it was like a weird co-op experience.
It's like 10 player
within the game
co-op instead
itself.
of 5v5.
Yeah. It just does a lot of really weird stuff. But baseline, the combat is actually quite a lot of fun.
There's also a storyline that seemingly at random comes along. Like it's just match-based gameplay, but then all of a sudden it'll be like, oh yeah, you hit a milestone that is going to activate this cutscene now,
Yeah.
and you get some more story.
That sounds worse than Titanfall 1 story.
It's you know what it sounds like? That Far Cry 5. Far Cry 5. Where you're just out doing objectives, and then randomly it's like, hey, congratulations, you're being kidnapped.
Oh yeah,
Because
Yeah,
the
you
next
suddenly-
plot point is here.
Yeah.
it's time
What
for
a
the
It's
dumb-
not that.
That's
it's not
so
that bad.
dumb.
It doesn't.
It was
it
so-
doesn't
it was so
interrupt
dumb in Far Cry
everything you were
5.
doing to just drag you somewhere.
Man, that was so funny. I forgot about that.
No, because it was always so jarring.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Surprise!
you-
The plot is here.
Yeah.
Literally in the middle of anything.
Yeah, you didn't care.
What are you doing?
You
Flying a
suddenly
plane?
fall asleep.
You're kidnapped.
You got hit with the dart while you were flying.
Yeah.
Like,
Don't worry, you don't crash. They parachuted into the plane, landed it, and they took you in. Plot point. You're good.
But the exosuit classes all feel pretty unique compared to each other, and they're fun to play. And also, you can just kind of like swap between them on the fly.
Yeah.
So like you hit a button and you open the character select screen, and then your human hops out of the suit and into a different suit, like in the middle of combat.
So you're actually kind of like vulnerable while you're in your human form swapping suits.
Yeah, it takes a few seconds for your other suit to come online, so you can just fire like a regular assault rifle for a couple seconds. It's also like really humorous and probably I don't know if they're like intentionally being ridiculous, but there's some of the things they say is like Neo Tyrannosaurus is spawning on you, and you're like, what is that? I don't know, but it's pretty funny.
There's a part where like a portal opens up in the sky, and suddenly there's an enormous plane that comes through and just like flying at you, about to crash into you, with like a flock of terrifying dinosaurs swarming over. It is wild. They do some weird stuff.
And is this just teams of 2, or is there...
It's
Teams
5 on
of
5.
5? Yeah.
Huh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like Gambit in the beginning, where you've got to like be good at killing hordes of dudes fast,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's like dual push the cart PvP at the end. Weird.
And
Yeah.
you said it's like Gambit, and now I do not want to play it at all.
The last thing we played was a game called Voidigo. Just came out of early access recently. It's a top-down bullet hell-y roguelike. It is wildly colorful and bright, and sometimes it is impossible to tell what's going on because there are effects everywhere.
The
You have a ridiculous
developers
build.
they describe it as vividly animated.
Yeah, that is an understatement.
Yeah, okay. Understatement. Got
It's
it.
kind of a roguelike if you were on acid, maybe.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Do you think it'd be more fun to play if you were on acid?
I have no idea.
Never been
Couldn't
on
tell
acid
ya.
before.
Yeah, wouldn't know.
Okay. All right.
You been
Well,
on acid?
might be just too much at that point, you know.
Yeah, could be.
It's been pretty fun though. It's got some cool builds. The dodge is a jump, and you can stomp on people, and you can like combo stomp multiple people. And there's build for like building up your combo as you're stomping people and spawning a bunch of projectiles and stuff. Pretty cool.
It's pretty fun. I get to a point during the runs where I'm just like, I can't tell what's happening, because we picked up so many power ups that have different effects that spawn effects that spawn effects, and I'll like have a big, like at one point I had a big sword, and there would be an enemy that shows up, and I'm like, all right, and I swing my sword, and then just a bunch of crap happens on the screen. I have no idea, and then everything dies, and I'm like, okay, I can't tell if I'm about to get hit or not, so I just am randomly losing life.
That's what's good about stomp builds. You're just constantly jumping, so you dodge most of them by accident.
Yeah,
Great.
good bosses too, though.
Yeah, fun bosses.
I will go next. I've only been playing one thing, and by the way, I have a bone to pick, because 2 weeks ago when we were talking about all of the game festivals, I was like, I don't know anything that happened that was announced. I need you guys to tell me about everything. And then you proceeded to forget to tell me that Breath Edge 2 was announced during the PC Gaming Festival.
How could we
I'm very
forget?
upset. I'm very
None
upset,
of us
guys.
played
Important-
Breath Edge, man.
important
We
announcement.
I'm very upset.
None of us played Breath Edge, and none of us watched the entire PC game show, because it's like
It was
insanely
enormous.
It was enormous.
Feel like
Yeah.
this sounds like it's your fault.
It is my fault more than anybody else's. I have been getting back into playing Breath Edge because I played the first 2 or 3. I think I played almost all of the first 3 chapters the last time I tried to play through it, and I stopped. I got distracted by something.
You didn't even finish it?
Never
You're going to be
finished
mad
it.
at us for not telling you about the sequel to a game you didn't finish. How dare we?
Yeah, it gives me a reason to go back and finish it. This is good. Now I'm like, it's on my list of things I wanted to play through. Here I am. So Breath Edge is a first-person survival space sim. I don't know quite how to describe it. It's like Subnautica if you don't get any upgrades. You start out as this guy with your whole point is you're carrying your grandfather's ashes on this giant space liner, and it crashes while it's in hyperspace. And it ejects everything, and all of a sudden you're just basically floating in space, and there's all this debris everywhere, and your goal is to figure out what happened and try and figure out how you can get home. Your spacesuit has an AI that is really moronically funny. I mean, it's like the dumbest jokes, but also funny at times. I don't know quite how to describe it. It's just constantly talking and spewing information at you, a lot of which is useless. They're just trying to make funny fart jokes and whatnot.
Jokes, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird, like just the weirdest things.
It's not the direction that this game looks like it would go.
It's so pretty, which is weird because the way the game plays, the AI is kind of directing you to both objectives, but also just spewing nonsense. And you're like, so you're kind of progressing throughout the game, trying to build up stuff in order to make it to the next space, because it's really hard to fly through space in just a spacesuit. You're upgrading all of your components. At one point, you find a condom in order to create a giant inflated oxygen tank on your back. And that's how you can breathe more air to fly further in space. You build this like shawarma-based fart machine that propels you through the air so you can move faster while you're in space. It's a bunch of weird, like, strange aspects that
we didn't tell you about the sequel of this game. Unbelievable of us.
You also end up so there's 6 chapters. You end up finding and then fighting sentient coffins, which are all part of this liner. They're like flying around in space and they shoot you if they see you. And there's also this like intergalactic military organization that is the reason that the liner crashed. And so you're trying to kind of discover what's going on as you progress through the story. It's really pretty. I think some of the component building aspects of this game are really neat. Where I think it falls short, and that I hope to see in the second version, or Breath Edge 2, is I feel like they had a bunch of really good ideas, and then they just placed them in the story at random intervals that don't really feel connected. So the first 3 chapters, you're just like, obviously this liner just crashed, and you're just trying to figure things out. And at the end of that, in the 3rd chapter, the whole 3rd chapter is about building this sort of like home base where you can sort of branch off of, and it takes a lot of resources and materials to build this. At the end of the 3rd chapter, you find a ship, and then you freaking travel through a hyperspace loop to another location and leave your entire base that you just built behind, and you never see it again. Why? I don't understand. Also, in chapters 4, 5, and 6, you don't even really use a lot of the upgrades that you utilized in the first 3 chapters. It's almost like, here's the first 3 chapters, it's like survival crafting-ish. The second 3 chapters are all about discovering the mystery of what happened while you're traversing around in broken part of the ships where there is plentiful oxygen, plenty of supplies for you to craft anything you need, and general navigation tools that are easier for you to figure out how to get from point A to point B, unlike the first 3 chapters.
Weird.
Yeah. I really like the game, but I think those aspects are just so sprinkled in and so sparse, and they feel disconnected, that if they can nail that down, I think it'd be a really fun game. I still enjoy this one. It's space. I still enjoy the game. It's funny. It's fun, but I think a couple of minor adjustments in the second game, it could be really cool. What,
you
Jake?
played
What?
Mass Effect?
I've not played Mass Effect.
You're gonna play the game about space farts. But not Mass Effect. That's fine.
I'd already
That's
started
fine.
this game. I'd
or
never
the
started
Arkham
Mass
games.
Effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The
I'd
Arkham
already
games still take place
started
in
this
space.
game, guys.
Here's
Listen,
what
I'll tell you
I
what,
really.
I'll play Mass Effect if you play Ixion.
Jesus Christ. Sacrifices have to be made.
Yeah.
Don't do it. He
Anyway.
won't play it.
Mass Effect and the Arkham series.
He'll bait you.
The second game is coming out this year, so I'm excited for that.
Do you think
Yeah.
it'll have more or less farts?
I think they are going to lean more into the AI's jokes. I mean, they are.
Is it
Even-
like claptrap level annoying?
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of like that. But it's
Good.
compounded by the fact that a lot of the story-based elements are also equally as just like bizarre and weird. Like at one point, you find a part of the liner. So like the liner is broken up and shattered all over all these it's asteroid field basically. And you find a part of it, it's a section of the ship where you see these giant globules of what looks like foam. Turns out it's mayonnaise, and they've been transporting giant vats of mayonnaise for some reason.
At least it's not something else.
Yes.
I
know.
thought that was where we were going.
I thought
No,
it was too.
it's not. It's very
It's a classy game.
PC. It's fun.
It
Cool game.
feels like it should have been put out by what's the dev that does like the Rick and Morty game?
The one with the gun. Or the game with the
Squanch.
gun.
Squanch Games.
It
What's
sounds
the
like it should be them.
What's the game
Yeah.
with the talking gun that you played, Chad?
Oh God.
High on Life?
Thank you.
Life.
I
Yeah.
like
Okay.
it. Okay. Maybe also.
Listen,
in
I
that
played
vein.
like 2 hours of that game. Thought it was for the Game Pass that I have or had, and then told everybody not to buy it for the $60 price tag. And it was,
Apparently
Yeah.
the
And
the knife is really popular because they're putting out High on Knife.
Mhm.
I
The
can see
focus
that.
is on the
Gosh.
knife.
Gosh.
It probably also helps that the knife is not voiced by Justin Roiland.
Mm,
So
Yeah.
they can still use that voice actor.
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Breath Edge. I'm excited about the second one. Alex,
So sorry we didn't tell you about it.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
We
Yeah.
mainly did it out of spite.
I know
For
you
what
did.
it's worth.
You're really mad at me. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I have played a little bit of the feature of the month here, it seems, BattleBit Remastered. This seemingly came out of nowhere and is suddenly near the top of Steam sales charts, and everybody's talking about it. It's like a 3-person dev team that basically took the Battlefield formula and took a crack at it, and it's like everybody's like, man, EA's getting shown up, like this is what Battlefield should have been. It's got like a low poly voxel like Minecraft look, but it's got really good gunplay, and it's got 256 players on a map. Vehicle warfare. It's got the conquest mode. It's got leaning.
Oh, it's got leaning?
It's got leaning.
What an original idea.
It's quite fun. I mean, squad based gameplay. You got your classes. You got medic picking people up. The whole level is fully destructible. It's pretty sick.
Cool.
It's currently
Sure.
got 64,000 players playing it right now.
Dang.
There's a lot.
Be good.
And it's an indie game that I have not heard of, came out of nowhere, and it has a price tag. Like, it's not free to play. It's $15 to get into. So it's kind of crazy. It's being successful. It's called Remastered. I looked into it a bit. It's not actually remastered of an older game. They called it that because while they're developing it, it went through so many iterations that they felt like it was different enough from where they started that they ended up calling it remastered for some reason.
Hilarious.
Why is it 254 players?
Because of how squads break down, I think. Because you can have
Okay.
like 8 players in a squad, 64 players in like a whatever you'd call that, troop or whatever, and then 2 of those. It's 128 players on a team.
And then 2 of those is keep going, and you get to not 254, you get to 256.
Indeed.
That is a good point.
That's why I'm confused about the 254. But it's
That is
okay.
a good point.
Yes. Yeah. I really liked how we went through again math. You and Chad, you guys are like all big on the math tonight. Levels 1 through 25.
254 players.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not 8.
I'll let you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Chad, what are you playing?
Oh, couple
Oh.
games here and there. Alex and I played a little Bread and Fred. So that game's pretty fun. You're 2 penguins attached by a rope, and you are just climbing, and you can jump together. There's different features, like if you hit left on the D-pad, it starts counting down 3, 2, 1, go, so that you can time jumps together. There's different sections where one person has to anchor themselves on a platform, and the other one has to spin around that platform in order to use momentum to launch across. So like the person who's anchored gets to decide when, fling us.
Is this like is this like Unravel? Like you're
A little
connected?
bit, I think. I mean, yeah.
You are connected by a rope.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're down, yeah. So you can like mess people up. Like there's certain times that we think we're on the safe wavelength, and like one of us jumps and the other one's like, "What are you doing?" Like anchors and then pulls you back up. There is, from what Alex looked up, there's 500 meters in that game that you have to climb, and we're at like 230 right now, so something like that.
It's got a little bit of a getting over it kind of thing where you can fall quite a distance
yeah.
sometimes, right?
Man,
Yeah. There was one time where we were up around 230 and we fell, and then we hit right back down to like 70-40, somewhere around there. It was bad.
You go through sections where you feel relatively safe, like you can't fall that far, and then all of a sudden you'll hit a spot and fall, and you'll be like, "Oh, it's not that," and then you just keep on falling, and you just keep
And
on
it's
falling.
it's like the momentum, and like if you don't try to anchor yourself somewhere, if you're ricocheting off walls and like you start spinning a certain way, like you just start going down this tunnel and just shoot straight down, and you're like, okay, well, start from scratch. So it's been a fun time though. We've been playing that over Parsec. They actually just released, I think today, an online version, so you can actually, if you get 2 copies, you're able to play with your friends across the iNet. Play a little of that X Defiant. Alex played with me, but played is a loose term there. He had an issue where he would move his mouse. And
where if I moved my mouse, like my view wouldn't move until my mouse stopped moving, and then it would like update to where I was looking.
Whoa.
do not
That's
chew on my
interesting.
monitor.
Yikes.
And I could somewhat fix it by turning my polling rate on my mouse all the way as low as it go.
Heck yeah.
And then I could,
Precision.
while zoomed in looking down sights, you could kind of move around, and it was like really choppy.
Okay, here's the interesting thing about that, right? I obviously, really good at shooters, was top of the scoreboard almost like every single time. Alex was like 2,000 points behind me. Like there were many people that had like almost 0 points compared to Alex, and I was like, "How are you? What is happening? Like you can't play yet you're still playing better than half of these people in this lobby. This is crazy." So X Defiant, for those of you who actually are living under a rock and don't know, is Ubisoft's Call of Duty. Basically, that's what it is. There's a couple devs, I think, from the Modern Warfare era. I'm thinking like COD 4, Warfare 2 development that are on the team, and they are developing this X Defiant. So it kind of is that arcadey feel. There's more movement to it. You can actually sprint while reloading. You can slide and then jump. There's not really slide cancel, but everything just feels a little better than our current what is it, 2022 Modern Warfare that's right now out. Way faster, way less tactical, way more just adrenaline pumping, just brain clicking, etc.
Heck
A lot of fun. There's different classes. So you choose a faction, and within the faction there's like 2 different skills. Obviously I kept choosing the self-heal faction because, popping a stem is always amazing when you're in the middle of 5 people and you kill like 2 or 3 of them and you have like no health and need to take the next fight. There's other people that could go like invisible, but it's like that Halo invisible where you can kind of still see them moving if you have the eyes for it. And then there's, what else is there's like a flamethrower guy. Just different, couple different classes that you can play. And then there's like every weapon is unlocked already. Like all the attachments unlocked already. I don't know if that's beta style, but you could just build your guns and play. Like you don't have to like grind through the sludge of like, oh, I really want the MP5, but I have to get to level 43 to get that, and I'm level 2 or
That's got to be really disappointing for you, though, you know,
I know,
because I know
right?
you love the grind. Like, you want to get every single one of those skins.
No, sir.
Man. Mhm.
Anyways, I mean, arguably, I did get the
Yeah.
mastery
that was-
camo for.
Yes, that was my
Warfare,
argument.
but-
Yeah.
I would never do that again. I'm going to be honest. That was the worst. That was the worst.
I'd take that bet.
I would do it
Is
for
it
like an
gonna
MMO
be-
or something.
Is it going to be free to play on release? You know?
I believe it is going to be free to play.
I think so. Yeah.
It's kind of cool because it could just be a nice pickup and play. Supposedly no skill-based matchmaking, so that was probably why Alex was getting the points that he was getting, because they're,
Got him.
no thumb Timmys in the lobby.
Dang.
Dang.
I only say that because he literally couldn't play. It was so bizarre to me. But yeah, so X Defiant seemed pretty interesting and cool if you could actually play it. If you're like Alex and you had that same struggle, then I can see why he probably wouldn't like the game right now. Hopefully they fix whatever it is, and either Alex gets a new PC or they develop it out a little further to where he can actually play it. Anyways, I also have written down here a lot more Diablo. So I have, since last podcast, gotten my main character up to level 85. And before that, though, it was 80, and then they came out with a Nightmare Dungeon update where it doesn't take a lifetime to level up anymore, because it gives you like 200,000 experience at the end of a Nightmare Dungeon, while also boosting the mob XP within the Nightmare Dungeons incredibly. So no longer will you be sitting in random dungeons and resetting them over and over and over again. You will be running Nightmare Dungeons. Also, another thing that they updated, which is really, really cool, is when you pop a Nightmare Dungeon key, these are things that you get at the end game content. You go to your consumables tab and you can select a Nightmare Dungeon key that have different affixes, like Death Pulse, which means that if you kill an enemy, then it'll explode right where you kill it. Or there's Blood Blisters, which they will spawn around the room around you, and you have to kill them before they explode, or else they'll do a ton of damage to you. So if you're not paying attention, affixes can kind of get you. It kind of makes dungeons a little more interesting, a little more difficult. Some would say just more annoying. Anyways, Nightmare Dungeon runs result you in like 2 million XP now per run, so it's pretty cool. You're running through these dungeons where, being level 80 to 85-ish, you need like 10, 12 million XP for a level. So it's only like 10 or, so Nightmare Dungeons, which honestly don't take all that long. So getting those levels a lot easier than back when that was not implemented, and leveling was just a slog. I will say, at the current state of this game, I believe like 1 to 75, 1 to 65 is like the meat and the fun parts of Diablo. And once you start bypassing those levels and you get into the 75 to 100, what is that, 71? Yeah, 75 to 100 area of the game, it just becomes a grind with like a lacking of content. Even though they have like Helltides, Nightmare Dungeons, PvP content, there's different world events that happen once you do it 20, 30, 50, or, one of the things just popped up on my screen saying I've done 500 events. It just starts to become boring. So waiting for season 1 is kind of my goal, or I will start playing a lot more hardcore. I did play a little hardcore. I had a barbarian up to level 54, and then we were trying to do a little exploit where we could reset dungeons easier, and didn't realize that we went into an affix that was the Nightmare Dungeon was way higher than what I was used to going into while I was 54, and 3 Blood Blisters spawned around me, instantly killing me. So that was a letdown. But then the guy that I was with, who basically popped the Nightmare Dungeon, was like, I'll just level you up, don't worry. So then I have a level 54 sorcerer right now that is in hardcore that I haven't touched, because I try to get my rogue to 100, but we'll see. There's a lot of balance changes that they did. You can read through the recent patch. I think they made Druid a little better for leveling. Barbarian wasn't really touched. Sorcerer wasn't really touched. Honestly, Rogue wasn't really touched, but everything got buffed across the board instead of what you usually see in games nowadays, which is everything getting nerfed. So that was a kind of breath of fresh air. For some reason, they are saying that they can't make a gem tab until season 2. so we won't be seeing a separation of gems till then, which is
That's too bad.
honestly kind of ridiculous, but whatever. That's all I got for you.
Get
Lots
Caleb in
and
there.
lots
We'd
of
have a
Diablo
jump
2.
tab next week.
That's true.
Yeah.
Coding games is easy, guys.
I got you.
Just knock that out. Send it over to them. I'm sure they'll just plug it right
Oh,
in.
one last thing. There are 6 uniques in this game. And I think there is a 1 in 5 million hour chance that you will actually get these uniques. So
Six unique items, period?
yes, there are. There's multiple uniques that are constantly dropping for each character. So, like for instance, I got the Penitent Greaves, which make it ice. Basically like Frozone. It makes an ice path underneath my feet, and it chills enemies that I walk around. That has a drop rate that's pretty easy to get. Then there's other things like the Razor Plate, which is a chest that you put on that has a ton of thorns, so it reflects a lot of damage. The one that I got dropped is like 8,900 damage. But there are 6 total uniques that have not been found. And a dev came out and released this information alongside like the statistics behind actually being able to get it. And the thing that I kind of realize about this is somebody who wouldn't look up this statistic and only hears that, oh, there's 6 uniques that are up in the level 85 enemy and above, they're probably going to be like, oh, I could get this, helmet that gives me +4 in all of my skills. But they don't look up the statistic that basically you can win the lottery before getting this. And I just don't understand why it's such a high statistical improbability of you ever getting this item. Like, it's in the game, but it's not really in the game, basically, because like none of us are going to see it. There's going to be like 1 or 2 people ever to see these items. Crazy.
That's insane.
Kind of
Wow.
a neat idea. Just to have like that, because if anybody ever gets any of that, it's going to be like incredible. Like it's going to be like their best gaming achievement.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, that's
I
also
got real
though,
lucky. I'm so good at this.
Yeah.
yeah, it's not very fulfilling, and also it assumes that whoever gets it knows that it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Because it could be like Steve who picked up the game for a laugh
Yeah.
and is just like, oh, okay.
Well, Steve has
Whatever.
to play it until level 85 mobs in order for these to drop. So, the thing that the reason the helmet's so ridiculous is because you only ever get 58 skill points ever that you can spend. And you can spend it any which way you want, and you do different builds, but you're always going to have different perks or passives or different skills that you won't select because there's only 58 skill points and there's more than 58 skills or skill points to spend. But if you get +4 in every single ability, that's a lot. And then you could just throw everything in perks and maybe like whatever ability that you wanted, you could just max it out to, for instance, my Twisting Blades is 5 out of 5, but then I have an armor piece that gives me 3 more Twisting Blades. So it's 5, 6, it's 8 out of 5. And it does like, it actually increases the percentage of damage beyond the 5 of 5, which is really cool. But now you have +4 just on top of that on everything. That'd be ridiculous.
Crazy. Rare uniques. This is wild. I'm reading about these. Absolutely wild. Cool. Guys, I think that's all we got.
Yeah.
We did it.
Barely made it.
Yay.
I've been looking this whole time to try to figure out why it's 254 and not 256, and I cannot. I don't know why they chose that. It's bothering me now.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
127 versus 127. There's just one squad that's a person down
Heck yeah.
on each team.
Is there like a commander? It takes up like 2 slots in a squad.
I don't know, maybe. I haven't
Mystery.
commanded if there is. I haven't been a squad leader either, so maybe there's a commander talking to squad leaders.
Mystery. Well, we'll know next time. So join us back in 2 weeks. We'll tell you why there's only 254 players and not 256. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time. See you.